It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff. I'm back in studio with Billy Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get a cup of coffee brewing, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Didn't get to this yesterday, Billy, but I really want to today. One of the biggest, clearest distinctions that took place during the Musk-Trump fireside chat. Where are they at, like 15 billion views now? I don't know. So that's exaggerated. Who knows how many?
And the other problem is how X counts a view, which is 1.5 seconds of video playing. That's it. So while you're scrolling by it, if the
not
video
all
starts
3
playing,
hours,
no, it's only 1.5 seconds. So if you're scrolling by it and the video starts to play, you're now counted as a view.
It's a view.
Yeah, I think I was looking at numbers concurrently during the conversation. I think it topped out at about 1.5 million, which is good.
Yeah,
but compared to what he could get going on Hannity, it's maybe a third or less than that. Oh, yeah. As far as Hannity's audience. And if you talk about going on ABC, the debate was viewed by 15 million concurrently.
Was that 15 million?
Yeah. So on Twitter, you got 1.5. Yeah. So again, it shows the
reach. Good for an interview.
Oh, it's fantastic for what it did.
Yeah.
For
a lot of attention.
Did you hear about the FEC complaint? Of course, I didn't think this was going to be coming. I didn't think so. But there's I don't know, some asshat Democrat lawmaker has filed an FEC complaint saying that this was an unauthorized corporate gift and campaign donation to Trump.
From X?
Yeah, from X. And what they're saying is because Elon is obviously so pro-Trump, because in the entire presentation, it was your best, your greatest, you got to be the leader, you got to be the president.
My favorite were some of the memes that were like, you hang up first.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you hang up first. No,
exactly.
You hang up first.
That was good. That was good. But I was surprised. I'm like, really? We're going to have the FCC complaint? I'm like, I don't think so. But I get why he's trying to be a pain in the butt. But it's just being a pain in the ass. That's all he's doing.
Well, and Kamala's been invited.
Yeah, so, she has. And we'll see.
It's one of the factors in that.
We will see.
Consideration.
Yeah, the difference would be, and again, people always talk about, it's a friendly interview, an unfriendly interview. What do you think the difference in questions would be? How many times do you think that Elon would be going, yes, yeah, yeah, along with her? Probably slim and none. Yeah.
What I would like him to do is pull a Clark.
What do you mean?
I have now trademarked this.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Clarking a interview.
Yeah.
Is when you just lay out a litany of about 15 of the strongest talking points from your opponent and then ask the interviewer or interviewee to respond.
Yeah.
So, Billy,
as long as it's a direct question, sure.
Billy, you are, I can't even think off the top of my head because I'm not that way, but think of the 15 worst things you could say about somebody and then be like, and so tell us, how are you going to respond to it? And the person's like, I don't even know where to begin.
Well, to make it equate it to what Trump saw at the National Association of Black Journalists, it would be, in my mind, it would be a list of Musk doing one of two things. Either showing a list of contrary positions that Kamala took at first and now switched. Yeah. And so say, you said you've done this, you supported this, you support this, you support this, you support this, you support this in the past. Now your positions are different. Why should we trust you? Yeah, that would be the question.
But why it's so unfair is because the person's like, I don't even know where to start. You just listed like 15 things. So remember what Kyle Clark did to Mike Lynch during Congressional District 4 debate?
Yeah.
We were like, we're not going to talk about the DUI. We're not going to talk about the fact you had a gun. We're not going to talk about the fact you tried to outrun the cops. We're not going to talk about, but I do want to talk about this. What say you, Mike Lynch?
Yeah.
And Mike's in there going, okay, so where should I begin with that litany of attacks? So,
and the problem with that
is so unfair.
And the reason I think it's different with the black journalists versus what Clark did was we're not going to talk about, but you just talked about it. If we're not going to talk about it, shut your pie hole. I mean, really, don't tell me you're not going to talk about it. And that would be like at the dinner party saying, yes, it's wonderful that all of you gather here today. And we're not going to talk about the charges against Mr. Smith. Wait, huh? Hang on. Hold on. I think we've opened a long conversation. That would be totally wrong. And that's why his question was wrong. For me, the idea of as long as you start with based on my previous list, why should or what should, and you're looking for a close, okay, because you're not asking for a response to each one of those. But if it's how come you're such a bad person? That's a little more. That's a little much. But we'll see. If I was Kamala, I'd take him up on it.
I would really absolutely. You get a lot of people to pay attention to that. Yeah. Speaking of people paying attention to it, we're also going to cover this. Donald Trump calling Colorado a political cesspool over the weekend,
but very pretty.
And
it was like he was talking to the girl in school, going, "Yes, and you're psycho, and you're horrible, and I hate AG people." But you're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you to a truly beautiful part of the world.
Yes, exactly.
I love your $28 million, but
exactly.
You're a political cesspool.
Yes, I love how pretty your eyes are when you're a psychopath. Yes, I mean, that's exactly what it was.
Billy, I was listening to Hugh Hewitt on the way in this morning, and I'm just sitting here, and I feel like the just left out boy on the side of the gymnasium watching the pretty girl dance with everybody else except for me. And that is what is going to happen in this election again, as Colorado is not on anyone's list to actually spend some time here.
No,
that was it. Trump came for one fundraiser. It was in Aspen. And we're going to sit here. And when I point out to you a shocking statistic I found out yesterday.
Excellent.
Bill.
I can't wait.
Did my own original research on this, which means it's probably wrong, but I'm going with it anyways.
I
Billy.
like that. I love your confidence. If you're not right, go with confidence. That's right. Always what you have to do.
So the critique is, we're going to get to the news here in a second.
Yeah.
The critique is that since we've done mail-in voting, Colorado's become a political cesspool. So I went back and I looked at voter registration numbers in 2012. This was the year prior to vote in mailing, all vote in mailing, which happened in 2013 under a Republican Secretary of State, by the way. We have grown since then 38.6% in total number of voter registrations. Okay, so population's gone up. Total number of voter registrations in the state of Colorado has gone up 38.6%. And the number of independents has gone up. The total number of Democrats has gone up. Even the total number of registered others, which means Constitutional Party, it means the Green Party, it means even libertarians, all that, gone up. You'll never believe this. The total number of registered Republicans in the last 12 years, even though the population in Colorado has gone up, even though the total number of registered voters has gone up by 38.6%, the total number of registered Republicans has gone down.
Oh, geez.
Down.
Oh, that's awful.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
So we're going to cover that more. Are we a political cesspool? I think so. There's not a lot going on great in Colorado, but did we lose Blake?
We seem to be having some behind the scenes technical difficulties.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to continue to work on.
You work on that.
I don't know what's happening.
I'm going to cover this issue.
That's really curious. So I'd love to hear some theories as why you think some of the changes. Is it are all those Californians chasing the actual conservatives out of the state?
I think it's a combination of a number of things, but one. That's a hell of an indictment if you're the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, dude. We have fewer registered Republicans. And I want to get into this too, because I used to work for the Colorado Republican Party under Ryan Call. Don't Google him these days. He's faced his own problems. But we at least had a voter registration operation. And back then in 2012, we were pretty much on par. It's like a third. And here's a genuine, honest question I have. Is there a voter registration operation coming from the Colorado Republican Party right now? Are there volunteers out there? We used to go host like booths. We would go down to Juneteenth, for instance, or Cinco de Mayo, and we do outreach efforts and we do voter registration efforts. And I worked for Governor Romney at the time. We would do voter registration efforts at the Western Conservative Summit. My very first Western Conservative Summit, which I led for 8 years, the one that I went to go for the very first time was to get voter registrations in 2012. So there was this big effort to get people registered to vote. And I'm sitting there looking at that number last night, going, do we have any effort?
That's weird. And
is there any effort to get people registered to vote in the state of Colorado as a Republican?
That's weird. That's really weird to think about, that you wouldn't want to go out there and to broaden the potential base of voters.
We get into sports on this, Billy.
Yeah.
And this is like fundamental blocking and tackling.
Yeah, it is.
All right, till we get to Blake.
Let's see what happens. I'm not sure. Blake, you're there with us.
Yeah.
Hey, you're there. Yay!
Hey.
The gremlins died. That's fantastic.
You know what's so frustrating? I'm enjoying the show. I'm listening to you guys. You guys are talking to me, and I'm talking back to you, and you can't hear me. So, you act like my wife or something. Yeah, it's been a great show so far. 12 minutes.
Okay.
I've enjoyed it.
On a side note, okay, all of us married guys now. I don't believe any of our wives are listening right now, and we have to have a conversation here just for a second. Does it happen to you where she just seems to be able to tune your particular tone of voice out? She can hear anything else in the house. Someone else on the other side of the house can open a closet they shouldn't be in at that time. Immediately she knows, but you can walk into the kitchen. She has her back to you. You say something, nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, and she even knows the voice of our dog better than mine.
Yes,
which is amazing. The conversations they have together.
Yeah, see, I've decided it's a defensive response. That my wife is kind of like protecting herself. She's like, I don't need you crazy right now. Yeah, the number of times, and I've said this before. There are times that I'll come up to my wife and we're talking stuff, and she says, "Stop for a second. You're a little much right now. I need a moment." I'm like, okay, I get it.
Way.
Yes.
You?
Yes, I know. No, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? All right, it's nice to have you, Blake.
You too. And great to have Jeff back in the studio. I didn't even realize he was gone for a week or so, or whatever it was, week and a half. 60 and clear, expecting a high of 88 today. The 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, call ahead before you fly out of DIA. Service is getting back to normal this morning, but there are delays for departures and landings, along with more than a dozen arriving flights canceled due to the weather. A possible tornado hit near Elizabeth last night, damaging an outbuilding. Yuma and Washington counties were also warned a twister could touch down. Flooding was the biggest concern from Tuesday's storms, and drivers may encounter pockets of water today along with downed trees. Nearly all the lights are back on in Arapahoe, Adams, and Elbert counties, but more than 1,800 people are still in the dark in Pueblo County. Aurora police have arrested a 17-year-old girl in connection with the fatal shooting of a 14-year-old named Kamala Cleveland. The shooting happened early last month at Highlands Hollow Park, where at least 100 girls had gathered for a party. Investigators say a fight broke out at the party, which led to the deadly shooting. 3 people were injured in a shooting last night on the 16th Street Mall near Wazee. One victim is critically injured, while the other two had non-life-threatening injuries. People at the Thirsty Lion restaurant reported hearing gunshots, and the building sustained damage to its windows from the gunfire. No word on any arrests. Day 24 of Kamala Harris avoiding reporters and the media. And the fix and rigging, at least psychologically, is on, and it is in. This is one of the ways the left does it. It's amazing. Former NFL Pro Bowler Marcellus Wiley, he received random text messages from the Democrats, and he outs them. They want stars, athletes, celebrities, etc., etc.
Quote, any. First of all, you sending me a message about any A-list influencers / celebrities who like to attend the DNC will get flights / hotel credentials to the convention and exclusive invites to private parties and events happening during the week in Chicago. Okay, I read that first paragraph and immediately I said, oh, that's why Megan Thee Stallion was out there twerking with Kamala and them. Let's keep reading. I know they ain't sending me something they send to Megan. I ain't on her level. Let's go. Also, I'm seeking top celebrities to do a post, and the budget per creator is around $20,000. Wait a minute. Y'all paying me like Pepsi? This ain't no soda. This is for people's political votes. This is to influence their life to some degree. What? But we'd be happy to talk through if there's anyone with a bigger influencer plus message in the line. That means I could get more than.
That's amazing to me. Jeff, how many people do you think they're sending that to or paying?
Well, that's why I'm going to Chicago. I don't know if you know this, Blake, but I'm going to be at the DNC next week, and the Democrats are covering all my hotels, steak dinners, and they're paying me $20,000 a tweet.
Jeff Hunt is on stage now, man.
And they're paying me not to show up. That's a better deal.
Same.
Yes.
Same. Yeah, it's wild. So TV hosts,
no,
anchors,
it's
opinion
a
maker.
Scam, but it works. It works because your low information voter who's like, really looking forward to whatever Megan Thee Stallion posts on her Instagram account, will buy what she posts and is like, Kamala Harris is a goddess. We should totally vote for her.
Right. God.
And that's the result of 60 years of public education, man.
It's horrible. Yeah, that's right. We'll have some more on this next hour and throughout the morning. It's incredible. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 4-3, getaway day today at 140 in the deserts. 56 in Boulder, it's 58 in Glendale, and 60 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. It's Hump Day, Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast calls for partly cloudy skies and comfortable temps in the mid-80s today. This afternoon and evening, a few widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will drift through. Some gusty winds will be possible. Lows tonight in the mid-50s. Drying out with a little more sunshine for Thursday. Highs mid-80s, lower to mid-90s Friday and this weekend. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We got a real treat for you if you're watching us online. Go to YouTube, Rumble, or X, and Billy is...
I'm wearing my new hat. Yes. M-I-C-K-E-Y. Why? Because we like you. Yes, exactly. This is the present that I got from Jeff. He was visiting the Mouse's house recently with the family, taking a wonderful, needed little bit of break, but also joined us on the air. And during the time, he stopped by and grabbed me the Mickey Mouse ears that I have lost. I got them when I was like 9, 10 years old. Went with grandma for the first time to Disneyland. Had them in the back of my closet. And as I was packing up for college, hadn't seen them in years and pulled stuff out and went, they're broken. And so they were broken, and it's that moment, because they're attached to memories. They're important. Right. You're never going to be able to wear it again because the condition they were in, they had been pushed back, the ears were crunkled, nothing I could do. And so you look at it and go, do you throw away the memory? It's never useful anymore, but do you throw away the memory? And anybody that has older parents understands that difficulty, how hard that is. And so, I tossed the mememory, but now I got it back. Thank you, sir.
Now you got a different memory.
Yes, exactly.
And
this is great.
That could be a very bad thing.
Yes, again.
So I want to talk about that just briefly. We weren't planning on this, but I saw a headline from the Wall Street Journal recently that said, like visitorship to the Disney
the
parks.
Yeah, the suffering. Yeah.
You could have fooled me, bro.
Really?
Dude, that is just, it is an art.
It really is.
To have 6 people together and navigate people constantly cutting across your little group of people.
Yep. Yeah. It is a real art. And I don't know how you and your wonderful wife handle it. My wife and I always had a rule that we always did head counts. The rule was you could only miss the same one once. So if you counted, you're missing one of them, you're like, okay, you got to count again. And if you miss the second, oh, wait, now you got a problem.
Yeah, now you got a problem.
Yeah. If you're just missing a random one every once in a while, fine, they'll show up.
Billy, there is a portion of that park. There's actually a secret room I discovered.
Really?
One time at the Disneyland.
Is that because of the way that you grabbed Goofy?
Not that one.
Come here, sir.
Yes. I found out there is a secret room where you go to claim a lost kid.
Oh, there's a story here.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And I'm going to out my son, Danny, on this because
that's great.
He is brilliant. Danny is one of the smartest kids. Straight A's.
He's really very smart. He's been in the studio. He's really clever. Yeah.
And Danny is hyper focused on things.
Yeah.
So when something catches his attention, when he was a little kid, it was the whole world went down to that.
You got blinders. That's great.
And he would stop walking.
Oh.
So the rest of us would go.
And just keep going.
He was just enamored at this little thing that he was looking at. And then, so we taught him very early to know our phone numbers. And oftentimes we would just get random calls from people, right?
Oh, that's
because he also wasn't shy to be like, but can't find my parents. Can I borrow, excuse me, can I borrow your cell phone?
Like, this is about the 12th time this month I've done this.
And yes, exactly. That was constantly Danny. So we got used to until we got the, there's a secret room behind the Carnation restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Off of the main street in Disneyland. Where you are shamed in ways you would never believe it as a parent.
No.
Now, the fascinating thing is, because of this issue we have with our son, we learned that Disneyland has never actually lost a child.
Really?
In all of its history.
Wow.
It has never lost a child.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
So, but you do have to go through a whole rigmarole of showing identification.
Oh, wow.
And signing an affidavit and doing all that.
Crazy.
And what they do with the kids is they put them in a little corner and, of course, play Disney cartoons.
Of course. Yeah. Well, how else? Yeah. Indoctrination. Of course you would. Yeah. Disney is fascinating how they move people, how they continue to hide crowds, how they move things around. It is an art form, how they be able to engage people. One of the things I think is incredibly clever are the ways they distract you while you're in line. They're much better at that than anybody else because they'll move you from one area to another. Because part of the thing you don't want to see when you're walking up to the ride, you don't want to see a long line trailing up the door because you'll skip it.
Yep.
So what they do is they have part of the line on the outside, and then you go to an interior, and then there's another set of line. But inside that room, it's not just a room. There's got to be stuff going around to entertain you, so the time passes. Yep. So think about, you can stand in a line that is longer at Disney than you can at Elitch's, but it feels like the time doesn't pass as slowly because there's stuff in front of you entertaining you. think about the long lines you have at Ilches going back and forth, especially Mind Eraser. I mean, you can sit there and you're just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. But Disney goes and understands that is a detriment to having people stand there in long lines. So yeah, they entertain you as they go. They're so clever.
Absolutely.
So
clever. I was shocked to read that they're having problems with attendance because that was not the case.
Wow.
It was jam packed. I mean, and my wife is a little bit of a Disney fanatic.
You don't say.
A little bit.
I've heard this.
Yeah. So from the moment it opened, during the magic hour, which gets you in early, till the moment it closed.
No way. Oh, she's an endurance rider.
It is every ride. It is go, 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 constant.
Wow.
And we have this funny dynamic in our family where I'm like, just give me a funnel cake.
Yeah.
In the French Parisian Quarter.
Yeah.
And a grandchild, and I will be perfectly happy.
I'll be happy to sit there.
I am going to be the very cool grandpa. That's just
fantastic.
like, all you guys go off and do those rides, and I'm going to sit here with my funnel cake and my grandchild.
That's funny because I'm the one that is like that. The kids are like, "You want to do this?" I'm like, "Let's do it. Let's go. Let's keep going." Yeah, I will keep grinding, and it's because it's the exact opposite dynamic with my wife. My wife is the one that will need the rest. She'll need the break at times. She needs that unplugging. She married me. She needs that a lot. So that's part of it is, just I'm wired. And so I will be happy to keep grinding and go as long as we have a goal and a destination. If it's like, we're going to hit here, great. I will nail that with it. We'll go right ahead. And I was like, no, I need a rest. I need to sit down. That, and she's a redhead. So sometimes the outside sun does not like her. Yeah.
And there's a part of me too that just loves to people watch, man. I can do that all day. I can sit there, and what happens in my head is, who are they? Where are they from? What do they do? What is their family dynamic? What's the day like going on for them? Like great. All the stuff goes through my head when somebody walks by. So I'm very content with a funnel cake in the French Parisian Quarter of Disneyland.
I do that with people too, and that's why I'm okay walking through the lines. The other thing they'll do with the kids is if people are having conversations and stuff, we'll invent conversations. So people are talking to each other, and we'll just start adding stuff in. It's just like filling in fake conversations and stuff. And so, have someone like 3 or 4 people in front of you talking, and then you turn, someone's talking to someone else, and you lean to your kid, and I'm like, so do you think the rash is going to go away? And they'll say something like, well, you got to stop scratching it like this. Well, I can't. I'm in public right now. So we just back and forth. That's
That's a funny dynamic.
We are weird. Yeah. It's my fault.
Back in studio, and we didn't get to this yesterday, but I really want to get to this today, which is one of the most clear distinctions, I thought, between Trump and Harris that was brought up during the Trump-Musk conversation that took place yesterday. And I want to get our listeners' thoughts on this.
But I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing, to listeners, the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security. Because there's some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to do.
I know every one of them.
And that puts the whole world in danger.
Elon, I know every one of them, and I know them well. I know Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong-un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, oh, this is terrible. He said, I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious. And they're going to protect their country, whether they love their country. They probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these are tough people at the top of their game. And when they see a Kamala or when they see Biden, Sleepy Joe, they can't even believe it. They can't believe this happened.
I think Trump's analysis of those world leaders is spot on. And I appreciate the fact he said it. And you'll get, you get the kind of critiques. Oh, you're lauding them, or you're saying nice things about Kim Jong-un or anything like that. The truth is, those folks that got to that level of where they are is because they are vicious, strong, determined people. And when I would listen to that, and I said to myself, I just asked this question: is Kamala Harris the same type of person? Because I think you could put Trump in that category. He's a vicious businessman. He's been successful, and he got to the top of his field. And I think a lot of world leaders are like that. Is Kamala like that? Can Kamala compete with a Putin, with a Kim Jong-un, with a Xi, with some of the most vicious threats to this country, does Kamala have the same type of personality that they do? What do you think?
This is an odd critique for me because of the idea that they need to be afraid of you based on your scary president.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that if you're going to be worried about America, it would be the military that you'd be worried about. The military might, regardless of who's in charge of it. I'm just saying, because that for me is, do they have the tools at their disposal to do what they say?
And the military is a tool.
Yeah. And so that's the idea, is do they have the tools? Because one of the things that Musk and Trump had highlighted during the conversation was during the missile threats by North Korea, that Trump, it was a very clever tweet, and Elon Musk said it was epic, that he said, oh yes, Trump responded to him, and he goes, I have a bigger red button on my desk and mine works. So the idea of saying, okay, yeah, North Korea, you can rattle your saber all you like, but we know exactly the type of military capabilities you have.
Right.
So you're not that threatening regardless of what you say, whether you're a big, strong man or you're a weak man. Either way, the ability to, affect any sort of change or any sort of impact is rather minimal. So for me, it's more the idea of the strength of the military. And we do have the largest, most effective military on the planet.
Right.
And I understand the problem I have with the Kamala critique here is I feel some of it has to do, not a lot, but some of it has to do with her gender, not her as a person. And this is the reason why. Let's say that we take someone, a male figure that we don't think is necessarily strong and aggressive, but had been both a district attorney and attorney general that prosecuted criminals, drug dealers, gang members, organized crime.
She rose to the top,
and
of
she did do that.
The Democrat Party in a Democrat state.
But again, California crime, and she did increase prosecutions and she did increase incarcerations. And so the idea being that she was, the person that was putting the bad people in jail. If it was a male in that position, I'm not certain that Trump would be going after saying so many of the things about, is he strong enough? Would they respect him enough? Because of the perceived crime fighting background as far as being the prosecutor. I don't think it would be there.
Do you think that translates? Do you think people look at Kamala Harris and go, she's tough on crime?
I think some people do and some people don't, because, but the problem is
so wishy-washy.
Well, here's the thing, is the reason is I believe that the people that like Kamala see her as tough on crime. The people that don't see her as tough on crime. And I don't think there's a lot of middle room in there. And again, Trump, though, will always say that his opponent is weak and everybody else isn't going to respect him. So this is the same thing that he said about Biden for the last 6 years, which is the same thing he said about Hillary Clinton. And that's part of the problem that we have with some of Trump's narrative right now, is he's just replacing the noun, the name of the person. The critique is still the same. It's just the noun's different, so it does not land or resonate as well. He needs to find a new way to tell the same insults. What I hear from him is a stand-up comedian that hasn't found new material in 8 years. I hear the same material, and that's what I'm looking for, is give me some new material. It's wearing old. I can see and I can appreciate the same stand-up bit, but if I'm seeing the same stand-up bit I saw 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, it loses its impact. It loses the way that it allows me to think. So, yeah.
I don't see Kamala Harris as strong at all. And if it was Margaret Thatcher, I think it'd be a different question, right? She was the Iron Lady. So I don't know if it comes down to sex. I think it comes down to personality. I think she's been wishy-washy. In some cases, she allows rioters and she wants to post their bail and get them out and that type of thing. And so part of the reason she's considered wishy-washy on whether or not she was strong on crime or weak on crime is because she's been both.
Yeah.
And so I don't see her as a strong world leader. Anyways, we got to get to a break.
We got to get to a break. I do want to add this, though, just on the tail end of this conversation, that we have a texter and caller that texted in last week. He doesn't think a woman can be president. He doesn't think a woman can be a leader in the military. But this is a texter and a caller to this show that just said, based on gender, doesn't think that can be president. Again,
I don't think that's right.
It is anecdotal, and it is only one person out of the audience.
Yeah.
But it is out there.
Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Who is tougher? Who's more feared on the national stage? Who's more feared by our enemies? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text lines are open as well. Text line is 720-892-6757. 720-892-6757. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Text messages starting to come in on this question. Who do our nation's enemies fear more? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Text message 5442. I'm actually scared of Kamala. She's going to word salad me to death.
That's good.
Here's Trump and Musk yesterday or Monday talking about it.
But I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing, to listeners, the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security. Because there's some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to do.
I know every one of them,
and that puts the whole world in danger.
Elon, I know every one of them, and I know them well. I know Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong-un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, "Oh, this is terrible." He said, "I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious." And they're going to protect their country, whether they love their country. They probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these are tough people at the top of their game. And when they see a Kamala or when they see Biden, Sleepy Joe, they can't even believe it. They can't believe this happened.
I agree. Xi, Putin, Kim Jong-un, vicious people. I think he's exactly right. They are vicious people. How do you think Kamala Harris deals with them? You think that she just goes and says, well, we got a big military, so don't mess with us. Do you think she could be just as vicious back to them?
Yeah, I do, because she's a prosecutor. She's had to. And the idea being she's had to walk into court and tell a narrative about a person being a really, really horrible human, so horrible that you can't put them back on the streets anymore. So she's had to tell this narrative about, and she's also had to present a strong front, because again, if you're going to walk in there, we can get a friend of the show, George Brockler, on. But he is, I don't know how far I should go on this. Okay. He often will, I don't want to get him too much in trouble. Let's just say that
Billy, just say it. George, you're vicious.
No, he is absolutely vicious. He is from everyone.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is against the death penalty.
But what I'm saying is
bailed out the rioters.
Yeah, but think about the idea of Phil Weiser.
Yes, exactly.
People aren't
not
very
vicious.
Yeah, they're not very scared about that. And one of the questions again that friend of the show, George Brockler, and I were talking about the other day with the Tina Peters case is that Weiser was taking the victory lap, but he wasn't in the courtroom. He was talking about, look at the great job we did. Look at the great job that I did and our office did. And it's like, dude, you were hundreds of miles away. You were nowhere close to the court. You don't even show up in the courtroom. So the idea of that, so that would be the question is she closer to a Brockler? Is she closer to a Weiser? And I don't know enough about her in the courtroom either way, but I would assume based on, people she prosecuted and was in the courtroom for, that yeah, she'd be pretty good at it. The thing for me is how you're going to do toughness, because is Donald Trump's toughness? I mean, if it's toughness, then do we make them run one of those like Tough Mudder obstacle courses, on live TV? I'd watch that for 2 hours just to see them run through it and see who does well. I mean, if that's the idea of toughness, or is it the idea of personal strength and not taking crap from someone? I think both of them can do that. The only caveat I would have, yes, Kamala's taken a lot of different positions. The only caveat I have is that Trump seems to be more open to playing in manipulation. The idea is, and what I mean by that is just
in the last,
well, not that. The last 48, 72 hours, he floated the conspiracy theory that Kamala's crowd in Detroit was fake. It's not true at all.
Those pictures looked weird.
But again, it's not true. And he floats it out saying this was AI, not did she, not this. He called her a cheater and said that the pictures were fake. And I'm just saying, if he can be fooled by that, that's not good. That is not good at all. And again, the pictures are legit. The pictures are legit, and it's the reason
more. Who does she fear more?
Who she? Xi? I mean, Xi.
Xi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who does Xi? Sorry, Xi fear more.
I'm not sure about who he fears.
Who does Putin fear more?
I'm not. Here's the thing.
That is so easy. Come on.
No.
It is not Kamala.
I'm
Joan from Lakewood, lavender pantsuit Kamala.
Here's the thing, though, is why do we think that Putin is afraid of Trump? And here's the reason why. Remember that Trump stood next to Putin after there were all the reporting and every Western intelligence agency saying that Russia did interfere and played in the U.S. election. And Trump's response, standing on the stage next to Putin, the time in which he can be strong, he said, I asked him, he looked me in the eye and said he didn't. I don't know why he lied to me. That's not strength. He didn't invade
Ukraine while he was president.
But hang on a sec, that's not strength.
That's a bigger indicator.
The bigger indicator. It's not at all, because if you look at what Putin was doing beforehand, and Putin was eroding NATO under Trump. Putin felt that NATO wasn't going to come to the aid of Ukraine. He's surprised. Remember, he thought this is a war that was going to take 3 weeks.
Yes. All right, we're running out of time, Billy, because we got to get to You Choose the News. Give us a call. Where do you fall on this? 303-696-1971. Obviously, you can see Billy and I differ on this. Oh, yeah. I think our world leaders are terrified of our world enemies are terrified of a Donald Trump presidency because he's way tougher than Kamala Harris. We'll get to this and more. 303-696-1971. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Billy, I got to get to this just real quick text messages. 8422. Kamala will tell our world enemies, don't. Stop. All right, let's get to You Choose the News.
All righty. Yes, it is that time of the morning where we take our careers into our own hands. It is a series of questionable decisions we call You Choose the News. It is everybody's favorite fake radio news game show. I have scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to get these stories in my hot little hands and given them even more ridiculous headlines to play this fake radio news game show. Why? Nobody in charge knows that we are doing it, so it is our secret. Shh, don't tell. We are counting on you. All righty. Jeff Hunt, Blake Olson from the newsroom. All righty, here are your choices this morning, sirs. Headline number 1, really goofy terms and conditions. Headline number 3, you can do it. Headline number 4, Publishers Clearinghouse Extreme Edition. And headline number 3, Publishers Clearinghouse 4, Financial Surprise, or is it? Obviously, I can't count. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
Financial surprise.
Yes, financial surprise, or is it? The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is investigating Wells Fargo and Bank of America for stealing your cash. What they're saying is they intentionally steered clients toward what's called a cash sweep account. It provides little or no interest or earnings despite the availability of higher earning options. Functionally, taking billions of dollars in interest away from you and I. Are we surprised? No, that the banks would say, here, put your money into these 0 interest-bearing accounts versus the ones in which we would have to pay you. How would you know about it? You wouldn't, because they wouldn't tell you that option is available. Yes.
Shocking.
I know. I'm so shocked. Alrighty, Mr. Olson, your choice, sir. Really goofy terms and service conditions. You can do it, or Publishers Clearinghouse Extreme Edition.
You can do it.
Yes, you can do it. Appreciate the Waterboy reference, my friend.
Yes.
How many Britons think they could do everything you can do in the Olympics? So we saw the Turkish shooter who basically shows up like he just came out of a 7-Eleven and got it and then medaled. Could you do it? Well, according to Britons, 1 in 4 believe they have an Olympic athlete waiting just to be released. By far, the youngest Britons are the ones that think they can compete, and then it gets lower and lower as you get older.
Reality hits you.
Yes, exactly.
Gets bigger.
Yep. The ones they say they would be most equipped for would be archery, shooting, and badminton. I'm just saying, after watching that Australian girl,
I was going to say
breakdancing.
breakdancing.
Yeah. I haven't warmed up. Otherwise, I'd pop and lock for you. But I'm not All righty. Mr. Hunt, final choice this morning. Really goofy terms and conditions, or Publishers Clearinghouse Extreme Edition?
Goofy terms and conditions. Speaking of that hat, Billy.
Really goofy terms and conditions. This might be a hint, my friends. According to a news report, Disney is asking a Florida court to dismiss a wrongful death lawsuit. Now, see, the deal was the guy was at Disney World, had a severe dairy and nut allergy. He informed the waitstaff at the restaurant he was dining at Disney World that of his needs, and he was assured they could accommodate him. Well, they didn't. They served him food that contained some of the stuff that he was allergic to. Yeah, he actually ended up having severe problems and later died. Disney says, not our fault. You know why? Did you read the terms and conditions? They are saying that because he signed up as a Disney Plus member to play games online and watch movies, he can't sue.
No way.
Because the terms and conditions say, and I quote,
streaming service?
Yes, I quote this is the terms and conditions. It requires users to arbitrate all disputes with the company, even if they kill you. I made a bad last part.
All because you signed up for the streaming service?
Yes, all because of the streaming service.
All right.
I know. That's it, my
so
friend. We're
over the
here.
weekend, DJT called Colorado a political cesspool. Do you agree with him? Is it all because of mail-in voting? We're going to get into this and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. We are such a Mickey Mouse outfit sometimes.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Billy Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center, sometimes from Disneyland itself. A beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get another cup of coffee brewing, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. We've got an absolutely fire show for you today. After the news with Blake Olson, the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to talk Donald Trump's post on Truth Social that Colorado's a political cesspool. Do you agree with him? And has it been that way as a result of mail-in ballots? That's what he thinks. 8 o'clock hour, Danielle Jurinsky is going to join us, Aurora City Council at-large member. Talk about what's really happening at this apartment complex. If you've missed the news on this, there's conflicting reports. Is it the result of a gang takeover that this apartment complex in Aurora is going under? Or, as Kyle Clark and Mike Kaufman argue, no, it's bad landlord management. There's a lot of different conflicting viewpoints on this, and it gets to what's really happening with regards to Venezuelan gang violence taking place in Aurora. So Danielle Jurinsky is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. And then 9 o'clock hour, Balancing the Rockies. This is an interesting organization I've just come to learn about that wants to try to balance out the craziness happening down there at the state legislature and maybe make it not so partisan. They'll be joining us live in studio in the 9 o'clock hour. So an absolutely, totally great show for you coming up for the next few hours. You're going to want to stick with us through the entirety. But let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 62 and sunny. Expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, some delays this morning at DIA after severe storms last night. So check before heading out today. A possible tornado hit near Elizabeth last night, damaging an outbuilding. Yuma and Washington counties were also warned a twister could touch down. Flooding was the biggest challenge from Tuesday's storms, and drivers may encounter pockets of water today along with down
Dude, we
trees.
got hammered yesterday in one of the biggest storms we've ever seen. I mean, in about 15 minutes, the amount of hail that hit us. And
how big was the hail?
It was small, but it was a lot. And it just came in like
straight
a
down,
curtain.
right?
Oh, yeah. It came in like a curtain and then flooded. We had like rivers through our yard, all that stuff. Wow. It was a wild day yesterday.
Yeah, we had some up here in northern Colorado as well. I mean, it hit hard here. That's why I don't have the camera today. It got hit by rain, the camera, so I'm praying that comes back.
It got it into the house?
No. I was at football practice with the camera that I use here.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, and didn't have my rain gear and didn't get it covered in time, so I'm praying that thing comes back. So
it's okay, Blake. You can always, it's okay. I mean, we should finally tell the audience that on a side job there is an OnlyFans account, and Blake was doing a wet t-shirt dance in the rain. And
yeah,
things got sideways, and so yeah.
Why did I have visions of you spinning on your head just a few minutes ago?
You just want me to break my neck. I see how you are.
Right. You break dancer.
You're the best.
Right. Speaking of injuries, 3 people were injured in a shooting last night on the 16th Street Mall near Wazee. One victim is critically injured, while the other 2 had non-life-threatening injuries. People at the Thirsty Lion restaurant reported hearing gunshots, and the building sustained damage to its windows from the gunfire. No word on any arrests. Former Denver cardiologist Stephen Matthews has been found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting multiple women. Investigators say there were at least 11 victims, and Matthews met the women through dating apps. Former Denver DA Mitch Morrissey calls Matthews one of the most prolific serial rapists in Colorado's history. His sentencing is set for October 25th. Aurora police have arrested a 17-year-old girl in connection with the fatal shooting of 14-year-old Kamala Cleveland. The shooting happened early last month at Highlands Hollow Park, where at least 100 girls had gathered for a party. Investigators say a fight broke out at the party, which led to a deadly shooting. Day 24 of Kamala Harris avoiding reporters and anyone with legitimate policy issue questions. She's a train wreck, but all of a sudden, sports and entertainment guys like Colin Cowherd have been enlightened by the joy and love Kamala brings.
Because it's an election year, and increasingly we're being fed doomsday scenarios, and people want to be happy. So people are putting down their phones and turning on something that makes them feel happy. Caitlin Clark, Copa America, the Summer Olympics. Americans are much more united than anybody on their iPhone would acknowledge, but that's hard to sell. We really all want the same things, but we watch different news channels for it. But people are tired of the angst. This weekend, I turned on CNN. Didn't plan to, but they had a Kamala Harris special. It was like 2 hours. I didn't plan to watch it. But what I noticed between her and the other guy running is she smiled a lot. She was happy. She laughed. It wasn't constant finger pointing and grievance. And I found myself sitting there for 2 hours. It was kind of uplifting. It didn't really matter because I don't know much about Kamala Harris other than what I read, but it was like uplifting. And that's why I'm watching so much of the Olympics. And I watched so much of Copa and the Euros on Fox. Yesterday, I went to lunch with my daughter. It was a nice day out. All I saw, young couples, smiles, dogs, fun, people laughing, playing ping pong outside. People were happy. You would never know that if you sit staring at your iPhone.
You clown. How much did you get paid for that? Throwing in the happy and the joy. And then you notice he says the other guy running. Wow. Just you're that simple-minded.
Who is that again, Bill?
That's Colin Cowherd. He's a sports talk show host. Used to be with ESPN, but you hear that build-up, the whole thing. People just want to be happy. They want to be happy. He breaks it all down. And, the joy. And we heard last week there were probably 30 hosts up and down the dial, taking the memo and talking about joy of Kamala Khan. And that's where that's the story of the day. So it's all over the place. Pop culture, entertainment. Yeah, you know what? Why are we so upset? Why are we worried? Why? I mean, nothing's going to happen to our country if Kamala Khan is the president. I mean, it's not like the borders are going to be wide open and the economy is going to go in the toilet. What a knucklehead piece of garbage. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 4-3. Getaway day today at 140 in the desert, 58 in Broomfield, 59 in Littleton, 62 in Denver. And Jeff and Bill continue.
Yeah, come on, fat girls, ready to take a lish. Come on, you gotta know that song. I am such an idiot.
You know all the lyrics.
I'm such a dork.
It's Wednesday, hump day. Blake Olson, News Talk 7. Let's fill the world with joy. Be happy, like Colin Cowherd says. 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast calls for partly cloudy skies and comfortable temps in the mid-80s today. This afternoon and evening, a few widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will drift through. Some gusty winds will be possible. Lows tonight in the mid-50s. Drying out with a little more sunshine for Thursday. Highs mid-80s, lower to mid-90s Friday and this weekend. Weather brought to you by BranchPlanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Over the weekend, Donald Trump had some words for Colorado here. A great visit to Montana and Wyoming, where I'm leading big, and Colorado, whose radical left governor has gone to all mail-in voting. Technically, that took place way before Polis became governor. Took place in 2013, and we did have a Republican Secretary of State at that point. But he did get this right, making the state a political cesspool, where even if you were leading, it would make no difference. Colorado is run by the lunatic left that led the effort, overturned by the United States Supreme Court, to keep me off the ballot. For that reason alone, Colorado will have a, quote, big Trump vote. Anyway, the 2-day visit raised $28 million for our very successful presidential campaign. Thank you to your truly beautiful part of the world.
Except for all you losers and freaks.
I will. So listening to Hugh Hewitt this morning, and they're all talking about this rally that's going to take place in Ohio, and this rally in Pennsylvania, and this get out the vote effort, and all the stuff that the campaigns are doing in these great states. And it's 2020 all over again, where they had so many rallies in those states. I'm sitting there going, did you just have like a rally down the street? Is that what you guys are doing? It's just we're going block by block in these cities at this point.
Yeah, they're just putting the stage on wheels and pushing it. That's all they're doing.
And here we are in Colorado, and I feel like I'm back in middle school. The loser kid standing on the sidelines, watching the cute girls dance with the popular boys. And I'm sitting here as a conservative in the state of Colorado wondering why it just sucks to be a conservative in the state of Colorado. And it raised a question to me as I saw this is, are we a political cesspool? So there's a few things I wanted to go out there and look. How do you judge a political cesspool? Are we a state that's a cesspool? Well, there's a few things that I found interesting in my probably skewed, but interesting research that took place. So I went and looked at voter registration numbers between 2012, the year before, when I was working for the Romney operation, when I worked for the state party. I looked at those voter registration numbers and I compared to where we are in March of 2024. Interesting. We've gone up about 38.6% in our total numbers. So from 2.7 million total registered voters to 3.8 million registered voters. That's a 38.6% increase. Okay. As you could expect, people have been moving to the state. Right? Yeah. Democrats.
Trump says it's beautiful. Yeah, of course.
It is. Yeah, it is. Democrats have gone from 887,000 registered voters to 1 million registered voters. So they've gone up. They've gone, interestingly, total percentage from 32% of the electorate to 26% of the total. So they've gone down in percentage, but they've gone up in total numbers. Independents have gone, this is the big gain, Billy, from 900,000 to 1.8 million.
Yep.
They doubled, and went from 32% of the electorate to 47% electorate. Almost half of all the voters in Colorado are independents. And they look at the parties and they're like, no, I'm not interested in that.
And for our listeners that every morning turn on the Jeff and Bill show and scream into the void, why do they give Bill Thorpe a microphone? That's it. That's it. That's right. I've been unaffiliated. Yeah, I've been unaffiliated for 2 decades. And in this market, to have a conversation about local politics and how that bleeds out into national, to talk about what Coloradans talk about, I'm part of the half. And that's it. And I was in earlier. I was in before the 2004. So I was in even before this thing boomed. Yeah. So this is kind of interesting.
They're up to 47.6. Wow. Now, other parties. From 35,000 registered voters to 70,000. That includes libertarians. And they've gone from 1.29% to 1.86%. So if you're part of the libertarian crew, you are about 1% of the total electorate. And that includes all the other parties.
And it was 35 to what? I'm just writing these down.
35,000 to 70,000. Okay. So they about doubled.
Okay.
They about doubled. Okay. This is where I went jaw dropping, hit the floor. Okay. Yeah. Republican Party in the state of Colorado. Well, everybody else has gone up. Went from 925,000 registered voters in 2012 to this past March, 903,000. And that was even before the whole Pride Dave Williams stuff. This was March of 2024.
Ooh.
We have gone down. We are now 23% of the registered electorate in the state of Colorado.
Oh. Ow.
So is this all because of mail-in ballots? No. Is it maybe partially influenced by all of mail-in ballots? I don't know. But when we have gone, those numbers, Democrats went up, independents went up, others went up. Since we've gone into mail-in ballot, all mail-in ballots, Republicans went down. Now, there's a lot wrapped up into this. There's a ton wrapped up into this, okay? I don't know at this point if there is an actual voter registration effort from the Republican Party. A lot of this could be attributed to Republican Party leadership, and that's where I'm going this afternoon, Billy.
Ooh.
I'm going to track total Republican voter registration numbers by chairman of the GOP, and that's what I'll have for you guys tomorrow.
That's clever.
But
I like that.
Because I'll be honest, under Ryan Call, you had an operation. We had a coalition operation. We had a voter registration operation. We won in 2014. We got Cory Gardner elected. We actually had a lot of success that year with Republicans in 2014. Since then, I'm not sure there's been that much of a coordinated operation happening within the Republican Party. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. KBB, give me a call. Tell me about all the voter registration operations you did. I don't know. I'm going to look into that.
And the weird
That's
thing
what
is,
I'll have for you tomorrow. But
yeah, I'm just going to add text messages and also just personal anecdotal information. It has been, I mean, now that I think about it, years since I've run into anybody doing any Republican voter registration. I've run into not Democrats, but liberal offshoots. I've run into them doing voter registration. And it wasn't until a text messenger talked about how long it had been that I started thinking as well. You got a point. It has been years since I've run into anybody doing conservative voter registration. Now, I may not be in the places they go and look for those voters, so it's not truthful, but who knows? This is just my experience and experience of a couple of texters as well. They haven't seen anybody out there doing it.
So if you're a county party chair, let's say maybe Steve Peck, or Tom Peterson out in Elbert County, what is the voter registration operation outfit looking like countywide? If you're the state party, or you work for the state party, feel free to give us a call or text us, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Billy, you got an interesting text.
Yes, I did. I got a really interesting text. A friend of the show reached out. We are not going to give this person's name because they do not need the text messages nor the social media blowback. But they had a very interesting, sarcastic, but pointed observation. Friend of the show says, well, if Colorado is a political cesspool, Dave Williams is building a high dive in the shallow end. Ouch. And he's got a point, because if we look at the voter registration, if you look at the voter registration for Republicans contracting, one of the main issues that Williams had in the past few months was that God hates pride. How does that message resonate with the larger electorate inside of Colorado? There is a conversation that should be had about the purity test that has been going on inside the party. The Colorado Republican Party has been trying to throw people off of the boat as quickly as possible. We have websites in this state dedicated to, and I'm using air quotes, outing those Republicans in name only. They're going to publicly shame them. So that's a question for the direction of the party as well. Are you talking about, and are you listening? Are you talking about the issues the voters are talking about? And are you listening to the voters about what issues are important to them? I would question whether or not the Colorado Republican Party over the previous 3 years has been getting a lot of, this is awful about the gay stuff, from the average voter. They may have it from the core, the people that show up at the assemblies, the people that go and caucus and things like that. But what about the larger electorate? Is that a message that is going to resonate? Are there stronger issues that you might be able to talk about? Things like, I don't know, crime. Things like that you have in time. Things like, what we had with the Venezuelans here in town recently celebrating. Stuff like that as far as non-prosecution of crimes. Also, I think there could have been some hate to be made about sanctuary cities long before what we have now. There could have been a lot of hate to be made, and not on, hey, we need to get these immigrants out of here. The hate to be made could have been, wait, when we arrest somebody for breaking the law that is here illegally, why should they stay? Why should they stay in the country? If they came into the country illegally and now they're committing crimes here, why should we not talk to ICE and move them out of the country? Isn't that removing the criminal out of our community and society? Wouldn't it make it safer? That's the message. But that message was never communicated.
I wonder how much it would benefit to have a state party chair that was just about these basic voter registration operations and turnouts.
So you're talking about, here's the example. Example I would give, and again, inelegant. I'm very good at inelegant and inaccurate analogies. If you listen to the show, this is another one of those. The difference between Hackett and Payton coaching the Broncos.
Yeah.
Hackett was a vibes, things like that, and looked at issues type of thing, where Payton is a nuts and bolts.
Right.
He's a function. And Payton is the guy that goes out and does the voter registration, where Hackett is just like, we'll throw a pizza party and hope the people here listen to us.
Billy, we've had a 38.6% increase in total number of voters.
Wow.
And a decrease out of all that, in that huge pool. That's 1 million voters. That's 1.1 million new voters. The Republicans actually went down.
And they shed them.
And they shed them. Joan texted in, so was the best chair Crooked Ryan call? Look, Ryan, like I said, you Google Ryan now, and you got some issues. He lost his law license in the state of Colorado, and who knows what happened to him after the whole Trump stuff. That's weird. He moved to Utah, all that stuff.
You know what I do, though, with Joan's comment there is I would run it through the filter just for conversation purposes. Not that I'm advocating one way or the other, but I would run it through, and you might be just a touch too young for this one, my friend. Go back to Dan Reeves coaching the Denver Broncos after we were stomped by the Giants. And there were some people that had been arrested on the Giants that they would bail them out during the season. And after the Super Bowl, Dan Reeves made the comment, I might not mind bailing some guys out of jail on Sunday if it meant we won more often.
We won more.
Yeah.
Because we did. Ow. I think that was the last time we had real success.
Yeah.
Because then we went into Steve House. We went to the guy from Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And then we went KBB. I think there's some others in there. Exactly. Now Dave Williams. I'm just sitting here going, out of 1.1 million new voters, Republicans actually have fewer now than we did in 2012. So is it a cesspool? And when I come back, I want to analyze whether or not Colorado is a cesspool from metrics of crime, from metrics of school graduations, and from metrics of poverty rates.
That's interesting. 2012
to 2023 was Donald Trump right? Colorado's become a cesspool. But by the way, thanks for the money. And you are a beautiful state.
28 million.
Look, if you're considering selling your home, go with the team that is going to not only give you top level service, but will also help you earn more from the sale of your home than any other agent. Gay Ribble has proven to get more for her sellers because they have ready buyers looking for a home in your area. They don't just make this claim. They can sit down and actually show you their list of over 14,700 buyers. This gives you an immediate advantage. Sure, you can hire any agent to sell your home, but isn't it all about how much you're going to put in your pocket after closing? The Empower Home team specializes in making sure you make the most amount of money. They will sell your home at your price, or Gay will buy it, guaranteed. Reach out to my friends and realtors, Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams, by calling 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE, hasthebuyers.com. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Why do you think the Colorado GOP is shrinking?
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, 7:32 on this August 14th. We're talking Donald Trump's post on Truth Social. Colorado is a political cesspool. We just covered the voter registration issue, which is shocking by itself. We've added 1.1 million new voters since we went into all mail-in ballots. And do we do the voter registration at the DMV now? Yeah.
So, it's automatic there.
Yeah. So
1.1
and up with Democrats, up with independents, up with other parties. And shockingly, in light of 1.1 million voters, we actually have fewer Republicans now in the state of Colorado than we did in 2012. But I want to pivot a little bit on this and get to, well, is Colorado a cesspool since then? Good text message here that if you remember 2012 also brought in commercialized pot, which I absolutely, fundamentally believe put this state in a wrong trajectory on so many levels. And it brought in a lot. I remember talking to a law enforcement agent, a sheriff from Nebraska, and he's like, oh, we love the fact that Colorado commercialized pot because all the potheads left Nebraska and went to Colorado. So we ended up with that. But all right, so let's go back to mail-in votes, all right? And I'm not saying that mail-in balloting is causing all this, but it's a question. Since we did engage with mail-in balloting, how have things gotten in the state of Colorado? Well, I went and looked up the annual crime trends report for the Colorado Division of Criminal Justice, and they actually did a 2013 to 2022 crime trends analysis. Here's what they found. Since 2013, violent crime has gone up 61%, homicide 94%. The homicide rate in Colorado has gone up almost 100%. Rape up 13%. Robbery up 22%. Aggravated assault up 88%. Property crime up 19%. Burglary, well, that's gone down 17%. So that's good news. But nationally, during that same percent, it went, or same time frame, it went down 56%.
Well, the burglar thing, because you're allowed to steal 3 cars before they're worried about it. So that's the thing. It's more about understanding and compassion than, you gotta understand that.
Larceny and theft up 1%. Motor vehicle theft, to your point, Billy, up 231%.
Thank you, Professor.
Since 2013.
That's great.
Arson up 46%. Poverty rate.
McCann. Sorry. There was something in my throat there. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know what it was.
The poverty rate in Colorado has gone up 12.9%, from 12.9% to 15% since mail-in balloting. So now I'm not saying, and I'm going to clarify here again, that mail-in balloting has not created all these problems. But Donald Trump tweeted that since mail-in balloting, Colorado's become a political cesspool.
Yeah. And is there a correlation? Absolutely.
And so far, I've looked at voter registration numbers and I've said we've become, definitely from a conservative perspective, yes, it's become a cesspool. From crime trends over the last from 2013 to 2022, yes, we've become a cesspool. So was Donald Trump wrong in saying that since mail-in balloting, Colorado's become a cesspool? I think I've made a compelling case that, according to a lot of indicators, he was correct.
It's an interesting correlation, and I can see why. And part of it, I think you're right, is some of the more liberal lawmakers that have been elected. And the ones I will go to, the most recent examples, of course, are the socialists that made it onto the Aurora City Council. And then you have someone like Tim Hernandez, and then also Elizabeth Epps. Yep, those are the ones where you can see. And I honestly, and I know that people think I'm just a bleeding heart liberal all the time, where I'm sitting too, Brittany Pedersen is an excellent example of that as well. Someone that is so, from my taste, so much more liberal than anything
than what Lakewood should have.
Yes, and anything that I find acceptable at all. That I'm amenable to some stuff. I'm more, I'm weird. I'm not going to say, but I'm more amenable to some of the things she's talking about. But some of the stuff is absolutely bat guano crazy, as George Broccoli used to say, and it's difficult. The problem I have is that could it be in part some of the messaging as well from the Colorado GOP as far of it, and having a conversation with Texture right now. Would love to have them call 303-696-1971, because one of the things they're complaining about are all the Democrats and rhinos in government. And that's kind of my question is, if you continue to hang this sign on someone like Bill Engvall and Jeff Foxworthy, here's your sign. If it's rhino around their neck, you're shrinking the total number. So the idea is, since we've gone on this rhino crusade, there's been a thing over the past 8 years about going rhino hunting. Should the Colorado GOP be surprised that they have fewer people, since they went hunting people in their own party they felt shouldn't belong? Is this in some ways also a self-fulfilling prophecy because of the tact and the direction the Colorado GOP has taken? They've told people, get out. If you're not with us on all these things, you need to get out. Where the Democrats are kind of like, maybe, okay, fine. Look, here's some stuff we're going to do. And then we're getting power, and then we're going to do the stuff and not ask you about it. Nobody in Colorado is going to go, can you please take all my Tabor money? I don't like getting that refund every year. Not a single voter says that. Well, maybe one or two, but they're drunk. And still, why they're listening to the show, I don't know. But what they're doing is they get into power, and then they do the loony stuff. That's the thing, is that when Pedersen was in power, she did the thing about the safe drug injection sites.
Yep.
She didn't go out there in her campaign. She wasn't out there going, hey kids, let me show you this. There's none of that. There was no campaign stuff where Brittany Pedersen was showing people how to properly inject drugs and then Narcan them. Not a single thing, because she knows how that plays. But when in power, that's where the move is made. That's the issue.
There's not a simple fix here. It's not one thing or the other. It's a combination of these problems. And it was spurred on by Donald Trump saying that Colorado's become a political cesspool. And I wanted to analyze that. And I wanted to take a line from you, Bill. I'll give you the credit. Define cesspool.
Yes, good.
Define cesspool, right?
Yeah.
Voter registration wise, if you're a conservative, yeah. If you're a liberal and a progressive, like our friend Suzanne here is, who's texting in just saying, hey, go to Wyoming. It's more your kind up there. If you're a progressive, I think you're probably looking at this going, it's a perfectly clean blue water pool. I love this. It's great. But if you're a conservative, absolutely. And I think for some right-leaning independents, so voter registration, yes. Crime, yes. Poverty, yes. It has gotten just worse.
Yeah.
In this state since 2013. And I think it's a lot of complicated factors. You have the demographics moving in here. Just that's a big issue. Dave Flaherty at Magellan Strategies just goes, demographics is destiny. You can't fight against it. You can't convince your way out of it. When you have a lot of progressives that move to the state because they like to smoke pot, there's not a lot that conservatives can do about it. You're just going to have to deal with it.
And a couple of years ago, had some conversations with people and also behind the scenes producing Peter Boyle's show, where people were talking about how soon they were going to be moving out of Colorado. And these are, like you, dyed-in-the-wool conservatives that have reached their tipping point.
Yep.
And they're like, I can't take it anymore. And I'd be curious if one of our listeners is sitting down at their kitchen table, maybe with their significant other and their family, and discussing, because of the situation in Colorado, I've got to pick up my tent and go somewhere else where I feel they're closer to our values. If you're feeling that, 303-696-1971 will put you at the front of the line. I want to hear what that choice is about and why you're making that choice.
Speaking of phones, let's go to the phone lines. Brian, Colorado, you're on the Jeff and Bill show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Quick point, mail-in balloting. You know, it was that Democrat operative, Mr. Trippa, years ago saying in a private fundraiser that was recorded that Colorado would never elect a homosexual governor until there was mail-in balloting. And shocker, that happened. So there's an actual recording of him saying that.
Really?
And then you project that onto the states that have gone to mail-in balloting. They've progressively gone left, or blue.
Yeah.
And the crime in those states has progressively gone up. So there's a direct correlation to Democrat control and crime increase. And there's a definite correlation to Democrat control and mail-in balloting. So
Brian, I think you're right.
I mean, put that aside, the Colorado GOP has struggled, I think, with the mail-in balloting. Obviously, I think that's a factor. But we've got 800,000 new people moved into the state recently in the last 10 years, I believe. So it's changed the electric significantly. And these are stats from Dick What Not to Do Wadhams. And the thing is, the Colorado GOP hasn't had an answer for any of this. You know, they torpedoed Tancredo years ago. Mr. House was a mess. And with the GOP, it's always either you have a ton of money. I made calls for Pete Coors years ago. I sat there for a whole week and made calls for Pete Coors. But you either have a ton of money or you're a yes man. And that's all the GOP wants to hear. We have so many people that can criticize us. I liked KBB and I liked Priscilla Ron, but they got hammered on messaging. They got hammered on voter registration. They got slaughtered. And so now we look at, we hate Dave Williams. Everybody hates Dave Williams. I'm sick of people telling us what we shouldn't be doing. And Billy's a cynic as well. But what I want someone to sit here and say, what can we do? And the only person I've heard is Casper, when he was running, have a positive message of reaching out across the lines and being more of a message that not compromising our values, but saying, hey, broaden this tent. And that's the only person I've heard saying anything like that from the GOP since I left, since Tancredo. They didn't want Tancredo because he was too radical.
Brian, I really appreciate the call. And I think what I would like to see from a GOP leader is somebody that gets back to the very basics of the operation, right? So imagine we are a sports team that just cannot win. We're like, what was that movie? Major League, where they're so bad, they want to sell them off. Like, it's just, we're caught in this losing cycle. And when Dave Williams became chairman, I had a conversation with him, and I said, you know what's super addicting in this country? I mean, really addicting, winning.
Oh, yeah.
And when a team starts to win, people get excited. Now, you're not going to win statewide in Colorado for a while as a Republican, okay? So why not just go and start winning at some school board races or mayor's races or county commissioner races, or do what they did in Aurora, where you got some conservatives and got control of the city council there. That is inspiring. That is addicting. And people want to be a part of that team, and you start to build confidence back. What if you just got back to very basics? We're going to out voter register the Democrats. We're going to register more this month than the Democrats do, and build an effort around that. And then we're going to win back Lakewood City Council. And then we're going to win back Arvada City Council. And then we're going to start to move and get some victories into some places. And we may not win statewide for the next 2 or 3 cycles, but we're going to get on the pathway to start doing that. I'd like to see that out of a chairperson. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Outworks everybody else. And especially reaching out to the, different races, speak to the young Black person, speak to the young Hispanic. They don't like crime. They don't like all these things that the Democrats bring to the table, but it's all about the Democrats just say, no, hate Republicans because they hate you. But what's the Democrat Party? Just like Trump said 8 years ago, what do you got to lose? What has the Democrats done for poverty in the Black community? What have they done for Hispanics as getting a leg up? Nothing. They've just taught you to hate Republicans because they hate you. Well, but they never give them a message of hope.
Now, Brian,
like those
if I was going to push back, on that though, like, what have they done? I mean, it's a very, very easy thing. But the first thing I would bet that a liberal Democrat would say was, we tried things like affirmative action. We tried these type of programs, and those are ones that Republicans don't like. And I understand the issue of crime. Crime as a total number is more concentrated in the population areas, and that's where largely we find blue legislators and lawmakers. But if we look at the total crime rate across states, it's a mix. Some are red, some are blue. I mean, you can throw in things like Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri have fairly high total crime rates. Alaska as well. Because you're correcting for population density. When you're talking about per capita, it's much more of a mix. And if you pull out drug crimes, it becomes even more balanced. It becomes a lot of red states pop into that top 10 very, very quickly if you correct for drug crimes. And if you talk about violent crimes based on gun deaths, because of population, it can be red states pop much higher than blue states.
Brian, I appreciate the call. We're just out of time. Billy, you got to tell us about Balanced Well Space.
Yeah, Balanced Well Space has been making this incredible difference in my life, and I want you to check out the medical team that is helping me get rid of the pain. I'm at a point in my life where I thought pain was just part of the deal. Louis C.K., the comedian, talks about how when you get to a point at an age, you go to the doctor and you're like, Doc, it hurts when I do this with my shoulder. The doc's like, your shoulder does that now. Stop doing it. That's where I thought I was. I was restricting my activities, what I could do with my friends, what I could do with my families, and even chores around the house because of back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, ankle pain, knee. It's a long list. I did a lot of stupid things to my body, but Balanced Well Space is correcting my mistakes from earlier in my life and helping me live a pain-free life. I want them to help you as well. Check them out, balancedwellspace.com. Go in, talk to Dr. Julie, Dr. Jess, Sarah, B, Christy, the entire team there. They'll give you a personal evaluation. They'll talk to you, ask you about what hurts, what do you want to do, and what are you not doing right now because of the pain. Then they poke, prod, take pictures of you, and then create a custom pain plan for you. It is completely tailored to what you need and your desires, and then they go to work. But this is the cool part. It's integrative medicine. Everything they do to you is all under one roof. So we're talking about chiropractor neuropathy, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, and so much more. They have some amazing cutting edge options that some of the patients at Balanced Well Space are finding incredible results, especially for their neuropathy. What they can do for the neuropathy is nothing short of amazing. Talk to them also every couple of weeks. They reevaluate you. I just went through a reevaluation earlier this week. They were looking at how much more movement, how much this still hurts, and where are still those problem areas. Because of a certain problem I was having in my lower back, we did trigger point injections this week. Because of that, when's the last time your medical team reevaluated your care, your personal needs? Doesn't happen because they can't get together. This is the difference at Balance Wellspace. Check them out at balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com. One day, one appointment, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5 things all done to you in one office. That doesn't happen anywhere else. That's the difference that Balance Wellspace can make in your life. It gives you more time to get out there and do the things that you want to do. They're located in Lowry, brand new offices right across the street from Hangar 2. If you can find the Officers Club, you can find Balance Wellspace. They're right across the street. Plenty of parking and shady trees. It's kind of busy yesterday. I had to drive around and had to find the right shady tree. Took me a minute or two. Normally, there's a lot more spaces open. I had to drive a bit, but it's only, again, I'm in the parking lot. It's not that big. So it's very easy to find, and they're a fantastic team. Check them out and tell them you heard about it here on the Jeff and Bill Show. BalanceWellspace.com, BalanceWellspace.com.
Great to hear, Billy. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great conversation with lots of text messages coming in. Donald Trump calling Colorado political cesspool since mail-in balloting. Is he wrong? Since mail-in balloting in 2013, we've seen a reduction in registered Republicans, an increase in violent crime rate, an increase in property crime rate, an increase in the poverty rate, plus really stupid ideas like wolf reintroductions, doctor-assisted suicide, decriminalized drugs, abortion up to birth, and residential property tax increases. I don't know, Billy. Seems like a cesspool to me. I think DJT was right on this one. In the 8 o'clock hour, Danielle Jurinsky is going to join us. She's the Aurora City Council at large. Remember, we're going to talk Venezuelan gangs, what's really happening in the state. And I'm sure Kyle Clark will be listening. So you're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Kyle. Hope your day's going well.
It is 8 a.m. a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. It is Wednesday, August 14th. Kids are heading back to school. It's a busy time of year. You're probably racing to get all those school supplies and new clothes for the kids and shoes that actually fit because they were running around all summer in their bare feet. But you have tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm Jeff Hunt, along with Billy Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. But hey, you're waking up in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Coming up after the news with Blake Olson, Danielle Jurinsky, Aurora City Council at-large member. And I'm seeing that there's a possible new gathering of Venezuelans, upwards of 3,000 or 4,000 that may be taking place again this weekend. Plus, I want to get to the bottom of what's happening at this apartment complex. You've been following this at all. There was an apartment complex that was condemned and shut down. And Kyle Clark and Mayor Mike Kaufman have said it's because of the landlords. These landlords are absentee landlords from another state, and it was their lack of care that led to this. But others, like John Fabricatori and Danielle Jurinsky, are pointing out that it's actually gang activity, Venezuelan gang activity that's taking place, that's the real culprit behind this. We're going to try to get some facts here. So we're going to talk to Danielle in just a second. Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. 66 and sunny, expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
I heard 4 gunshots, and then people started ducking. People were hiding, like crawling over things. And then I walk over here, and I see these police officers with their guns.
3 people injured in a shooting last night on the 16th Street Mall near Wazee. 1 victim is critically injured, while the other 2 had non-life-threatening injuries. People at the Thirsty Lion restaurant reported hearing gunshots, and the building sustained damage to its windows from the gunfire. No word on any arrests.
Policy differences between him and Kamala Harris. When Trump attacks Harris personally rather than on policy, Harris's support among swing voters rises.
Trump advisor Peter Navarro knows former President Trump needs to stick to policy issues. Forget the fact that she's really dumb. Focuses on the issues like the wide open border and that Harris supporters defunding the police. So Navarro wants him to focus on the issues and not on the other stuff. Trump is in North Carolina today. Harris is there on Friday. Day 24 of Kamala Khan avoiding reporters and anyone with a legitimate question. They're preserving her before she busts out at the end of the month, evidently. And Democrats up to their old tricks, trying to buy supporters like former NFL Pro Bowler Marcellus Wiley, who received a random text message saying they'd pay him some serious cash.
Oh, am I a Democrat? No. All right. The money is being paid for the required social media posts. That ain't nothing. $20K for a post? Shoot, I post anything. I post whatever you want. It ain't true. And attending the events in Chicago between the 18th and 24th. Selected guests can stay one night or all night. Man, I'm Lionel Richie. All night long. Nothing else is required. What you mean nothing else required? Look at all what you asked for. You ain't even asked if I'm Democrat or not. You want me to do a lot and don't even know what I.
Today's Consumer Price Index report shows that inflation appears to be cooling. New data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows food prices were relatively unchanged in July, but still way too expensive for my taste. How about you? Some delays this morning at DIA after severe storms last night. So make sure you check before heading out today. A possible tornado hit near Elizabeth last night, damaging an outbuilding. A man charged with stabbing a Wheat Ridge police officer in 2022 has been found guilty of attempted murder. It happened when Officer Alan Fisher and his partner responded to a report of a U-Haul truck that had been crashed into a fence. The driver, 31-year-old Andre Jones, refused to get out of the truck and stabbed Fisher 10 times when he tried to remove him from the vehicle. The knife attack left Fisher with nerve damage, and he had to undergo surgery. Jones will be sentenced on October 10th. The Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 4-3. It's getaway day today. 1:40 first pitch in the desert. 64 in Westminster, 65 in Parker, 66 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue on this Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast calls for partly cloudy skies and comfortable temps in the mid-80s today. This afternoon and evening, a few widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will drift through. Some gusty winds will be possible. Lows tonight in the mid-50s. Drying out with a little more sunshine for Thursday. Highs mid-80s, lower to mid-90s Friday and this weekend. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Debate happening over an apartment complex, 1568 Nome Street. Rumors saying that the city of Aurora is planning to close the apartment complex due to numerous code violations going back years. Kyle Clark brought this up on his news program, and Mayor Mike Kaufman joined him, saying, no, it was this out-of-state tenant that's been neglecting the people of the property, and that's the reason why we need to close it down. But others, like John Fabricatori and Danielle Jurinsky, are saying it might be actually a gang problem, and the gang problem's getting worse, and some aren't really covering this problem and this story accurately. So joining us on the Jeff and Bill show is Danielle Jurinsky. She's an at-large, a member of the Aurora City Council. Danielle, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Morning.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good morning.
We also want to welcome Kyle Clark, who's very likely listening to this.
Morning. You can, warm up that coffee, Kyle.
That's right. So Danielle, let's give Kyle something to talk about. What is really happening here?
Well, first, I've given Kyle a lot to talk about, if you've seen his Twitter. But what's happening here is
we're all laughing and clapping because we love you so much.
If I could stand up and get outside the frame of the shot for the video, I would be giving you a standing ovation. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but it's absolutely ridiculous, though, and I'll explain to you why what Kyle is doing is so ridiculous. But what's going on here is we're talking specifically about 1568 Nome, but make no mistake of it, there are other apartment complexes under this same TDA, Tren de Aragua, gang control. This is not the only one. This is just the first one that the city has gone after. In the city of Aurora's history, we have never condemned a property like this. And in 2023, the property owner was signed off, passed all building inspections with the city of Aurora, one in January of 23, one in April, and one in November. So, the final hurrah, if you will, the huge SWAT standoff happened in June of this year, and different agencies were called in. And I mean, this was an actual gang shootout. This was kind of the final hurrah. The rest of the staff that was still around fled the property. And so what becomes of a property like this when there's no staff, no management, it goes to the wayside. And there is absolutely no denying that this property now is buried in code enforcement violations, buried and it is absolutely uninhabitable. But what is not being told is the very clear picture on how we got here, and that is the gang control.
And this is a gang known as TDA. It's a Venezuelan gang, and we hosted John Fabricatori on the show recently, who pointed out the fact, too, that this is a gang that is greenlit the shooting of law enforcement officers. It's a problem not only here in Colorado, but in New Mexico and Texas as well. They've now made their headquarters in Texas. The open border policies have brought in this Venezuelan gang. And I think what they're trying to avoid, what the media is trying to avoid, Channel 9, Next, Kyle Clark, is talking about the fact that the Denver's open border immigrant policies with the big banner, "We Heart Immigrants," and bringing them in to become a sanctuary city has threatened the safety and well-being of the citizens of not only Denver and Aurora. That there are consequences to these policies, and because they're progressives, they don't want to acknowledge that.
Well, that's exactly right. And these folks are literally playing politics with people's lives. And, one thing that is very, very sad here is, we can debate the southern border all day long. For me, there is no debate. But what we're talking about, we are still talking about human beings. And whether these folks are here legally, illegally, let me tell you, this TDA gang, I fully believe, is mostly preying on other migrants that are here because they are less likely to call the police or call anyone for help because they are scared of being deported or whatever could come with it. And people are suffering. Human beings are suffering. There are children involved. There are children in this area. And the fact that this is being inaccurately reported and grossly downplayed is very dangerous. It is very, very dangerous. I will say a Hispanic newspaper here locally in Telemundo has done a wonderful job getting this story out and getting this story out accurately, hopefully to many, many, many of their Hispanic viewers. But, for Jared Polis to be absolutely silent and absent on this, at least in California, Gavin Newsom is out personally cleaning up abatement camps. I welcome Jared Polis. I welcome Jared Polis into the city of Aurora. He didn't make it to the Nome Street abatement, but if he would like to come to the next one, I welcome him. I will meet him out there, help him load trash bags up, and we can do this together.
Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was when Kyle Clark interviewed Mike Kaufman, Mayor Mike Kaufman. Now, I've been a fan of Mike's for a long time. I was a little surprised by that interview when he rejected the idea that there was any type of gang activity that was driving the decline of this apartment complex. Why did Mike come out that way, you think?
Sure. In my opinion, we are a city manager form of government here in Aurora. We are not a strong mayor form of government. So it is our city manager sort of calling the shots and having the conversations. I do know that there's been some conversations with Jared Polis, and, I'm led to believe that, Jared Polis wants this downplayed and handled as quietly as possible. So, reports are given and stuff like that. And unfortunately for Mayor Kaufman, I think what's happening is he is not able to see between the lines here. He is not able to read between the lines, and whatever report that goes out, whatever the city manager is saying, Mike Kaufman is echoing, and it's unfortunate. I know that he knows there is a very serious gang problem. I know that he knows that. I do think in some recent conversations with him, I do think you will see his tone and his stance start to change a little bit. But Mike Kaufman is very seasoned and very polished, and he is one of those that, if someone in local government or government at all tells him something that he should be able to believe from this person, he believes it without any question. And so I think that's sort of what's going on.
Is Aurora PD being honest about the gang problem?
The chief's office is not being totally transparent. The rank and file, the men and women that are the heartbeat of the Aurora Police Department, they are being honest and they are speaking out. They are sending photos and videos. I mean, I can't even tell you. And this is how I have become so confident in my stance. I have spoken directly with several Aurora police officers. I've been in contact quite a bit with a gentleman named Jesus. He is a prominent leader in the Venezuelan community, and he has been writing op-eds in some of the Hispanic news outlets. I've been in constant talks with him, and I've had many, many conversations with the property owner directly trying to get the truth here and seek this out. And this is how I feel so confident, Jeff and Bill, that the truth here is this TDA gang. I know folks are aware of it. I don't know if you saw on Twitter the other day, but Tig Teagan actually tweeted out that he was called in for that June 28th raid that I was telling you about. So, you know, people know about this and people are talking. So this narrative, and really it's only 9 News. It's only Kyle Clark and Marshall Zellinger pushing this narrative. Channel 7 put out a very fair story. Fox 31 has had very fair coverage. You know, of course, all of the radio programs that I have been on. So, you know, this is very much just one. And I don't know what's behind that. And what I was saying earlier that I would explain later is, say what you will about Kyle Clark and whatever his beliefs are on the southern border and whatever his political beliefs are, but you will not convince me that Kyle Clark does not care about humanity, that Kyle Clark does not care about these human beings, these other migrants that are out there, many with children, and the things, the horrifying things that are happening to these people under the control of this TDA gang. I will not believe it. And so for Kyle, I don't understand. I don't understand here pushing a political narrative over a narrative of humanity, good in humanity. I don't understand it, but I just want to make clear it's not all of the media that is not reporting this fairly. It is only 9 News, and specifically only Kyle Clark and Marshall Zellinger.
Talking with Danielle Jurinsky. She's Aurora City Council at-large member. Danielle, I want to talk about the big gatherings that took place recently. There was one in a Target parking lot in Aurora following the elections that took place in Venezuela. The Hispanic community even pushing back against what happened that day. They had to shut down the businesses. Target, fast food restaurants had to be shut down as well over safety concerns. Weapons were fired in the air. It didn't seem like the Aurora PD took it that seriously. No one was arrested or ticketed for what happened that day. And now there's concerns that there may be an upcoming gathering as well. You tweeting out last night, there may be another large gathering in Aurora on Saturday. The last one was roughly 4,000 people. Our officers are aware of this, being transparent with the public, and are taking proactive measures. The lawless behavior will not be tolerated again. Stand strong, Aurora Police Department. We support you. Tell us about what may be happening this weekend and your concerns about it.
Yeah, so for anybody that's not familiar, roughly a pop-up of 4,000 folks gathered in the intersection of Havana, Mississippi, Havana, Florida area. They took over an entire shopping center. It went out into the street, into the intersection. Folks walking out to Target walked out to 4,000 folks. Their cars were trapped in the parking lot. A lot of them couldn't get their cars out. And a lot of crime. There was major theft that happened. A Target employee was assaulted. There were several gunshots fired off into the air. And the next day, an actual HazMat team was called in to have to clean up the area because of the amount of human urine, feces, and throw up that was left in this parking lot. It had to be cleaned up by an actual HazMat team. Now, the Aurora Police Department was caught off guard. We had no intel. on this. This was very much a surprise, which is unfortunate. And our cops, quite frankly, our cops on the ground, roughly 25 to 4,000 folks. And at that time, what I know now is we could not risk the life of any police officer sending one of them in, to address one of these crimes and potentially not coming back out. That is not an option. But this time, as I tweeted out last night, and since that occurrence a few Sundays ago at the Havana Gardens, I have just been very vocal about communication with the public, transparency. The Aurora Police Department should be putting out the statement first, and then I will follow, not the other way around. So you're seeing that. You're seeing that now. And our intel guys have picked this up, that the Venezuelans in Venezuela, they are calling a national day of protest in opposition to the opposition party. And so it's on our radar. APD put it out. We're notifying the public. We're going to get ahead of this one. And I can't speak too much to what the security plan is. But what I want to say is we will be ready this time. Crime will not be tolerated. You will be arrested. I don't care what the crime is. You will not shut down businesses, and you will not take over any portion of our city. And first and foremost, to have any sort of gathering, you need to have a permit. You need to have a permit. So without that, the entire gathering in and of itself is illegal. And we are prepared this time. I have made so much noise. I will continue to communicate with the public, as I expect APD to. And I am really, really happy with how the communication is going this time around.
This is why the Jeff and Bill Show are huge fans of Danielle Jurinsky on with us live, Aurora City Council member at large. I want to talk to you about the why behind the gathering. You outlined the fact that there's another gathering planned, and friend of the show, John Fabricatori, who you know as well, was on with us recently and made a wonderful observation about these Venezuelans. He was asking, why are you celebrating? And what he meant by that is, if you are so happy that Maduro is still in power, then why'd you leave? If it was such a horrible, horrible country, why'd you come here if Maduro's in power? And on the other side of things, if you are for the opposition party and you want Maduro out, what in the hell are you doing here? Because you can't affect any change in your own country because you're here. So the entire premise of how and why they were celebrating this change, being a protest or a celebration one way or the other, he questions. He basically got down to that this was more just about them getting together and creating chaos than the actual political motivations behind it. It just bloomed into a big, giant party. Now, what I want to ask you, Councilwoman Jurinsky, is about that permit system. Can you, and is that going to give you the ability, and our police officers, the ability to close down and shut down a gathering like this much quicker? Is the response going to be able to be much quicker, much swifter, because we're going to be able to lean into the idea of you need a permit to be able to gather this many people in this location at this time? Is that going to make your jobs easier, hopefully?
Well, I certainly think so, because let me tell you, when you get a permit, your permit to gather would be at one of our public spaces, one of our parks, something like that. This gathering that happened, this was on private property. This was in the middle of a shopping center, which turned into the middle of an intersection. So that alone gives us grounds to take action here. And like I said, we now know that this one is potentially coming. They put out this call, in Venezuela. So we now know this one is potentially coming. We did not know last time around, and we are putting so many safety measures in place. And you will see a much different response this time. They will not get away with it. Crimes that are committed will be addressed. Folks will be arrested, and I will certainly report on all of that. And a big thing, Jeff, you touched on this. A big thing here is that some of the Venezuelans themselves are speaking out against this and are giving information and helping aid in knowing what's going on. So this by no means is an entire group of people that we are talking about here. This is specifically a group of bad actors that will not be tolerated here. Their behavior is not welcome, and they will be met fiercely by the law. They will be met fiercely. They will get arrested. They will go to jail. But for the rest that want to gather peacefully and protest, I guess, or celebrate whatever it is that they would like to, you need to get a permit. We have humongous parks in the city of Aurora that you can go to and not impede on anybody's day or scare anybody or trap anybody in their car. We welcome that in the city of Aurora. So I hope that we are working very closely with some of these leaders and that we do not have another go-round like we did the first time, because this time, I assure the people of Aurora, it will be a much different outcome this time.
Talking with Danielle Jurinsky. She's a member of the Aurora City Council, at-large member. Councilwoman Jurinsky, I want to talk a little bit about the gang TDA. This is a Venezuelan gang that has now come up. They've made their headquarters in Texas. They were part of a smash and grab operation that took place here in Denver in June, or maybe it was in the springtime, April, May time. And it was horrific. If you saw the video, these two women running a jewelry store, they come in, smash and grab, pistol whip the owners of the store. They were fearful that that they were going to be killed in this situation. Now, a member of that TDA gang that participated in the smash and grab was arrested in New Mexico and has been brought back to face the charges. Are you confident that the Aurora Police Department is doing all that they can to address this growing gang problem? Do they have the resources to be able to do it? And are they being effective?
Well, that's two separate questions for me, Jeff. I am confident that the Aurora Police Department is doing everything that they can to address this gang problem. Do they have the resources? Are they being effective? I don't have a definitive answer there, because this is way beyond anything that any one local law enforcement agency should be dealing with. And, we need more feds to come in. We need Homeland Security. The DEA, I heard they have been involved somewhat. But we need the feds to come in at this point. You cannot put all of this on one local law enforcement agency. And let me tell you something. What I do know about this TDA gang and what I've heard and just the horrifying stories, I'm going to be very honest with you and tell you, some of our own police officers are very scared. They want to make sure that they are going to make it home to their families at night, rightfully so. And they sure in heck better make it home to their families. But this TDA gang, they follow no rules. It's interesting because, gangs have always existed. They've always existed, especially in the Denver metro area. But I'll tell you, some of these other street gangs out there, they are calling this TDA gang savages, stating that they do not even follow any of the, quote, street codes set out, for how gangs operate within a city. They're calling them savages. Other gangs are speaking out. This TDA gang, if this is not addressed and not addressed quickly and with the help of state and federal agencies, Aurora Police Department cannot do this on their own. I have full faith in them that they are doing everything that they can, but they cannot do this alone.
Now, Mayor Mike Johnston has been trumpeting that how Denver has welcomed illegal immigrants, the services that they provide for them, is a model for cities across the nation. You are a leader of a neighboring city right next door to the city of Denver. We know that illegal immigrants already don't respect boundaries, so they're not just going to stay in Denver. They're going to come into Aurora. What is your message as a leader from Aurora to Mayor Mike Johnston on what he's done to the city of Denver and how it's impacted you?
Sure, and I've sent several direct messages to this man publicly. Mike Johnston, you got caught red-handed busing these migrants into Aurora. You got caught red-handed because you took over a hotel, an extended stay that people actually live at, and my cook, his husband, and their service dog were thrown out on the streets. You are responsible for Americans being put on the street. You are responsible for allowing this, for remaining silent, for not coming forward, for not standing up to your party at the state level and at the national level. You, Mike Johnston, single-handedly play a huge role in what is happening and not doing anything about this. You single-handedly, I think he is doing a horrible job in Denver. I hope the people in Denver see that he is doing a horrible job. And right now, for everybody watching, you are seeing the tale of two cities, Denver and Aurora, side by side, under different leadership. You are seeing the tale of two cities, and you will see that Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is an absolute failure.
Strong words from Danielle Jurinsky, Councilwoman at Large for the city of Aurora. Danielle, I just want to finish with this here. A few text messages. Here's one from one of your constituents. I don't know what we would do without Danielle.
Yeah, you're here.
Thank you. Another one texting in saying, we are praying for you, Danielle. This is a very serious situation. You are so brave to speak up. Thank you. That's how your constituents feel about you. So thank you so much for taking time to join us, for your leadership in the city of Aurora. You are turning things around. You are bold. You are strong. You're brilliant. We appreciate you. Thanks, Danielle Jurinsky.
We so appreciate you. And I'm in Aurora, so I can share that sentiment that, again, I don't know what our city would be doing without you. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. To all of you, to everyone listening, the residents of Aurora, I'm going to keep fighting. And Jeff and Bill, thank you for what you guys are doing to help get the truth out there.
We'll continue to cover this and have you and John Fabricatori on, and Kyle Clark. You're welcome to come on.
Exactly.
Explain your position as well. All right. Want to talk to you all about Mountain High Appliance. So they've cooked up some tasty deals for your kitchen. Now, for a limited time, receive up to a $3,000 rebate with the purchase of qualifying GE Cafe appliances. Enjoy the Mountain High Appliance price match guarantee and special financing options. Visit one of their 4 locations for all the details and upgrade your kitchen with GE Cafe appliances in Denver at East 64th, Littleton, Louisville, and Glenwood Springs. Mountain High Appliance. Experience the difference. What do you think of Danielle Jurinsky and this TDA Venezuelan gang problem? Do you side with her? Do you think that the gang overtake of this apartment complex is leading to the problems that they're facing there? Or do you kind of agree more with the Kyle Clark, Mayor Mike Kaufman, that this is a landlord-tenant issue, that the landlord has been abandoning and not taking care of these people, and that's really the problem there? Do you appreciate Danielle's leadership? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Texts here from Marion Inglewood. Love Danielle Jurinsky.
Oh, she's fantastic. And I love that you brought the heart of the city out, but also the concern about those men and women that are in blue, that put that badge on, because she talked about the fact that they are worried, and they should be, because there has been a shoot on sight order issued by this gang. And the problem is the men and women in blue, you can see them, that they're in those cars, they're in uniform. The gang members aren't. our law enforcement individuals are at a tremendous disadvantage against these people that aren't playing by any sort of ethical or moral rules, even in the criminal world. As she outlined, even the other criminals think these people are bad. That should tell us everything we need to know. And we need people like Danielle Jurinsky and the rest of our law enforcement taking care of this. And we appreciate them for it.
Billy, I have a feeling you and I are going to be on next tonight.
Yeah. Yay. I'm glad I wore my good shirt. I wasn't wearing the Disney hat.
Put the Disney hat back on. We're going to make an appearance over there today. And I'm sure they'll talk about something I did in middle school. All right. So look, pain from arthritis is just awful. Bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much of the stuff you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Listen, there's exciting new cellular therapies, okay, that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go? QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Look, if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. I've got a family member got his knee replaced, and he'll be at 80% 3 months from now. Right. So those knee replacements or hip replacements, just take forever to recover. Why not try QC Kinetics? Learn how QC Kinetics can use your advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Joel here in the sales office goes to QC Kinetics, and he's been hiking around. Dude went 5 miles with no back pain. See, the first time it's been happening in years. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. The future of medicine is here. Call for a free consultation now, 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986 with locations in Aurora, Superior, Colorado Springs, and Highlands Ranch. Or visit QCkinetics.com. QCkinetics.com. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, 8:42 on this Wednesday, August 14th. Billy, are you guys busy right now getting ready for school?
Yeah.
My wife took all the kids to Target and Walmart and all that stuff. Got the shoes and the new clothes and all that.
Here's the thing is, my kids are older, so they're more picky. So we've been doing all the online shopping things. So they have found some places and things they want. So we've had boxes and boxes and boxes show up. So yeah, new backpacks, clothes, everything else. Yeah.
It's a fun time of year.
It is. It's really fun because it's the newness. And it's always that idea of getting ready for a new adventure. And it's always a time of celebration. So it's kind of cool.
What are the grades? What do you got?
The only one we still have in school right now that as far as high school is have a sophomore. And then we've got Spencer going back for junior year. But he has decided, there have been some other things. He's decided that he's not going to return to Fort Collins. He's going to do at least a semester here virtually for a number of different reasons. There are a couple of things that he's going through.
Some family member hanging out?
That he's going to, so the nice part is there's a balance in the force. And it had to do with what was on his class schedule for this next semester. And he's like, I don't have to be in Fort Collins for this to get these things accomplished. He goes, I can do everything I need to here. So he's like, why worry about it? I'm like, yes, why pay for the dorm room? I'm sorry, that might have been what I was thinking. So it's really nice. Everybody's getting ready.
We're going sophomore, freshman, 7th grade, 6th grade.
Wow. Now the
fun years.
My daughter that just graduated high school, this is a big deal. Haven't talked about this on the air. She has decided to take deep breath as a parent. The dreaded gap year.
Oh, yeah.
And again, you have to support that. You do. It's not how I'm wired, but that's what she wants to do. And sure, that's absolutely fine. But we did talk about, with the gap year, there's going to be some guardrails about what's expected. This isn't just year off. No. There's some guardrails here. And part of that was employment. And we discussed with her about the possibilities of employment. So because she is super, super interested in becoming a teacher, she has applied with the Cherry Creek School District, and she was just given a paraprofessional job. And so she starts tomorrow, is going to be her very first day. And the best part about this entire process and why we are really happy she went towards the para idea is she gets in school, classroom experience. She gets to deal with kids one-on-one, but she's also been accepted into the Teach and Learn program. So she is going to get some credit for what she's doing there, and they're going to help offset some of the cost of schooling later on based on getting her teacher certificate. So all of that's going to be kind of wrapped in.
All in a gap year?
Yeah. So we're actually going to be able to get her
that doesn't seem like a gap year to me.
I know. The cool thing is
great move.
The cool thing is she doesn't have to be in the classroom. So she gets what she wants. She's out of the classroom. She gets the real world experience that she wants, and she has a path forward for the degree.
I think it makes you appreciate your education more when you do that.
Yes.
When you see how it affects your job. So like I went high school, college, seminary.
So many do.
And then I went into the political field and then got a master's in political management. And that was the best time I had in school.
Oh, I bet.
Because I was literally taking homework for clients.
Yes.
And using that time.
Yes.
Right. So when I had to come up with a campaign strategy or something like that.
Yes.
That was when I called Corey Gardner one time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Funny story.
And the fun part is because of everything you had done before, when you get to that master's, it prepared you.
Yes.
And that's kind of the path here for. We also talked about with her how much better of a teacher she's going to be because she's going to understand people on the other side. Yeah.
And you see how what you're learning in the classroom directly benefits your job.
Yes, so, exactly.
Look, with all the work I've had done to my teeth, believe me, finding a good dentist makes all the difference. I'd like to tell you about Dr. Mike at the Rocky Mountain Dental Group. I love this guy. He and his wife are wonderful people. He helps people like you and me look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. See for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. You know, there's so many dentists. I feel like I drive by dentists all the time on the road. It's about trust. And it's about quality. That's Dr. Mike. Listen to one of these reviews. I've been going there for over 20 years. Dr. Mike and his entire staff are outstanding. I like the fact that the same person always cleans my teeth. If you need an awesome dentist, Dr. Mike is your guy. Look, if your gums are receding, it's critical to address this issue promptly. Dr. Mike is a top-tier expert in the Chow pinhole surgical technique. This method requires no cutting, no sutures, and virtually no downtime. The procedure involves making a small hole in the tissue and gently repositioning the gums. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Mike to discover the benefits of this revolutionary procedure. Call 303 233-1335 or visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. That's RockyMountainDentalGroup.com to book your free consultation today. All right, we'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, Balancing the Rockies is going to be joining us live in studio. Their mission is to flip Colorado State House and State Senate swing districts from Democrat control to Republican control in the 2024 election, and to keep Republican-controlled swing state Senate districts in Republican hands. Sounds pretty good to me. We're going to be talking to them live in studio. You're not going to want to miss that conversation. If you want to be a part of it, feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us in on the 710 KNUS app. Billy, I really think that Danielle Jurinsky interview is going to end up in the news today.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. She's so good.
She is great. She is fired up.
She is. And what I like about it is she doesn't come across, nor when she speaks, is she the normal politician. She comes and speaks from here. And that is a detriment at times for so many in politics. But for her, it is everything.
It's very authentic.
Yeah, because she cares. And when you heard her anger about what happened to the cook and his husband and their service dog and how they got kicked out, that's something where she takes these issues personally. There are so many politicians that look at it as, what can I get out of it? How can this become good for me? She's looking at it as, no. I got enough on my plate, but I'm doing this because I want our community to be better. Everybody that was listening to us, if you missed it, check out the podcast. We'll post it in a little bit. The passion, the energy, the desire. That's what we want out of politicians. She's there for you and I. You can disagree with her on issues. You can't disagree with her commitment. She's amazing.
So Balancing the Rockies, I'm really excited to hear about how they're going to flip this around, because between 2018 and 2022, Colorado Democrats worked to gain control of the branches of state government. So how do you get it back and balance things out down at the state capitol, which I'm getting text messages that even some moderates would like to see happen down there. It's too progressive. All right, we'll continue this conversation. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show. It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, August 14th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS.
Disappointed you didn't clap.
I've watched every Friends episode 3 times. I think 4 times.
I think I've lapped you.
I went through that whole scene. That was such a great show. When
it was so good. Yeah.
Coming up.
Okay.
As a young single person.
I get a little geek out a little bit. When that show started, there were some things that appeared on the show that I had found at stores and purchased beforehand, like the giant coffee cups. Yeah. I had those before the show was ever on the air. I had those, and there are some tumblers they had that had stars and moons and stuff on them. I had those as well, and it was just the idea of basically they were going through Pottery Barn type of stuff and things like that. And so it was just those things that I was catching little bits and pieces of things, and all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, you have the Friends coffee cups." No, they have my coffee cups. I have them. I still have one at home. Still have one of the giant coffee cups at home. Yeah, the kids broke the rest.
Dude, you were trendy before everybody else, man.
Yeah, and now
I literally married Monica from Friends.
Yes,
if you want to know what Nicole's like,
yeah, and now Monica. I'm this is yeah, and now I'm old fat Joey. So yes,
dude, you go through life because you watch that show and you identify with characters.
Yes,
at different seasons of life.
Like
I totally went through the Joey phase. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, everyone does. And I had my own Chandler phase. And again, I got a little Ross as well. Got a little Ross and a lot of Phoebe. I got a lot of Phoebe in me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I got a lot of Phoebe. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history. We're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get another cup of coffee brewing, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after the news with Blake Olson, balancing the Rockies. We sure did tip one way politically, didn't we? And would it be good to balance it out a little bit? Maybe even if you're not totally in the conservative camp. Maybe you're an independent thinker and you're looking at the state going, we have gotten way too political in one direction. Well, Balancing the Rockies with balancingtherockies.com aims to do just that. They want to flip Colorado State House and State Senate swing districts from Democrat control to Republican control in the 2024 election and keep the Republican-controlled swing state Senate districts in Republican hands. We're going to talk with 2 ladies that are leading this effort, Ava and Lesley, coming up just after the news with Blake Olson. Speaking of Blake, good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning. It's funny. Everyone has a blind spot. I have never watched Friends ever.
Well, that's the end of Blake's news. Goodbye, everybody. That's it. He's not on the show anymore. So sorry.
I like Frasier, though. I really like that one.
Yeah, Frasier's good.
Wait, I want to ask the ladies before, because we'll go into the news and we'll get off topic. Big Friends?
Absolutely.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I can't even turn her mic on. You got to turn them on
here, but let's see if they can lead into it. Have the ladies talk a second.
All right, say it again.
Yeah, so I said absolutely. It's what I grew up watching.
Yeah, it's what she grew up watching. That's what she said.
You young people.
Yeah.
Like Billy. That's awesome.
Who did you identify with most? Rachel or Monica or Phoebe?
Rachel when I was younger, but definitely Monica now because I'm a clean freak. So OCD and very controlling.
That's right. She had the little vacuum to clean the big vacuum, all that stuff. All right, let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
I'll start watching it tonight. 72 and sunny. Expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
So this by no means is an entire group of people that we are talking about here. This is specifically a group of bad actors that will not be tolerated here. Their behavior is not welcome, and they will be met fiercely by the
Love it. The Aurora apartment complex that was overtaken by a Venezuelan gang is a great example of what can happen in sanctuary cities and states that aggressively open their doors to illegal aliens. Dangerous criminals enter, criminals who don't give a flip about our way of life, quality of life, and the safety of families. Danielle Jurinsky, Aurora City Council member, knows that women and children are still in danger as the gang has made their home away from home here.
And it is absolutely uninhabitable. But what is not being told is the very clear picture on how we got here, and that is the gang.
She joined Jeff and Bill last hour. Just a great leader.
I heard 4 gunshots, and then people started ducking. People were hiding, like crawling over things. And then I walk over here and I see these police officers with their guns drawn.
A juvenile has been arrested after 3 people were injured in a shooting last night on the 16th Street Mall near Wazee. One victim is critically injured, while the other had two of them had non-life threatening injuries. People at the Thirsty Lion restaurant reported hearing gunshots, and the building sustained damage to its windows from the gunfire.
Policy differences between him and Kamala Harris. When Trump attacks Harris personally rather than on policy, Harris's support among swing voters rises.
Former President Trump advisor Peter Navarro says that Trump needs to stick to policy issues and stay away that Kamala Khan is really dumb. Trump is in North Carolina today. Harris is there on Friday. It's day 24 of Harris avoiding reporters and anyone with a legitimate question. They're getting her ready to pop out of a cake, evidently, and become the most moderate candidate you've ever seen or heard. Nate Silver became famous predicting the 2008 election. Here's a guy who predicted the election results and does that for a living, says he's still able to be objective, even though he's voting for Harris. He knows what his job is, but why is he voting for her?
There is more heat than light. It's not an issue that, I have trans friends, and I think it's a complicated issue. I think lots of movements go too far in different directions, but it's not my issue. I mean, for me, the disqualifying issue for Trump is January 6th. I just think it's fundamentally disqualifying. In the same way as I thought that Biden's age was also disqualifying. I was planning to vote Libertarian or some other third party. I could argue that Trump's age is also disqualifying. I would like to see a constitutional amendment where you can't be inaugurated when you're past the age of 75.
You're disqualifying. This young man went into Walmart and Lowe's asking people who they are voting for.
Trump or Kamala for president?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala? Who? Trump or Kamala?
Oh. Not Kamala.
Excuse me, sir? Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala? Trump or Kamala?
Oh, Trump for sure.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump. Trump or Kamala for president?
Trump.
Not a single person said Kamala yet. Trump or Kamala?
What are you talking about?
For president, Trump or Kamala?
Kamala.
You were the first person to say Kamala.
Right.
I don't really like her.
Well, I don't care. Belongs in jail.
He dropped an F-bomb, and he was the only angry one that he talked to.
Excuse me, get lost.
Today's Consumer Price Index report shows that inflation appears to be cooling. New data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows food prices were relatively unchanged in July, but still way too expensive. Some delays this morning at DIA after severe storms last night, so make sure you check before heading out to the airport today. A possible tornado hit near Elizabeth last night, damaging an outbuilding. The Diamondbacks over the Rockies 4-3. It's getaway day today. First pitch at 1:40 in the desert. 69 in Louisville, 70 in Lone Tree, and 72 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast calls for partly cloudy skies and comfortable temps in the mid-80s today. This afternoon and evening, a few widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will drift through. Some gusty winds will be possible. Lows tonight in the mid-50s. Drying out with a little more sunshine for Thursday. Highs mid-80s, lower to mid-90s Friday and this weekend. Weather brought to you by BranchPlanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Are there too many Democrats elected down at the state capitol? Well, of course, you know where I stand on this. One Democrat is too many, but Bill, you're more of an independent thinker, and even you go,
oh, yeah.
Maybe we should balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, it would really help. Yeah, it's you don't ask all the kids that are fans of chocolate ice cream what ice cream we get. That's just it. You're not going to end up with something that's going to be amenable to everybody. So no. And don't want to talk about some of their ideas with safe drug injection sites and wanting all the Tabor money. That's the thing.
How about label all guns assault
All
rifles
of them.
and take them?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the idea is I'm getting tired of them saying yes. All of your money is our money. Get used to it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So if you are an independent thinker who's looking at the state capitol going, maybe we should balance it out a little bit, I think this organization is the right one for you. Balancing the Rockies. Here's their mission: to flip Colorado State House and State Senate swing districts from Democrat control to Republican control in the 2024 election, and to keep the Republican-controlled swing state Senate districts in Republican hands. Joining us live in studio, Lesley and Ava, to talk about what they're hoping to achieve. Thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, thank you for having us on.
So let's dive into it. You're taking on a big operation because Democrats just aren't a little small, tiny little program here in state. They're well-funded, they're aggressive, and they're winning. And you guys are going to try to balance it out. So let's talk how you hope to achieve it.
So I'll go ahead and start. So this is a really kind of interesting project that Ava and I have taken on. Both Ava and we've actually been pretty involved in gun rights, the gun industry for many years. And we watch this kind of encroach upon our rights. And we see this happen not just on guns, but all different issues, whether it's housing, whether it's oil and gas, environment, business, all of this. It's across the board. This just big government encroachment that is just taking place, and the Democrats are in control, and they're the ones who are leading that effort across the board. So it's frustrating to look at that and say, how do we affect this? Like, how do we stop this? Because it is so bad and it's happening so fast. And people tend to look at the governor. They say, oh, it's Governor Polis's fault. He's passing these laws. He's doing this. But the truth is that Polis is one man who is signing bills that land on his desk. If we can stop those bills from actually landing on his desk, he will stop signing them. They will stop going into law. And how do we do that? We do that by flipping some seats in the state legislature. And that's in the House and the Senate. And one of the things that happened a couple years ago, many people remember this, is we had redistricting, our once a decade redistricting. What I feel Republicans in this state do not understand, but Democrats do, is that redistricting gave us 16 swing districts in the state house. 16.
And they actually wanted it to be that way. They wanted more swing districts, right? Districts that were going left and could go back and forth instead of just always being locked into one. That was part of the redistricting plan.
It was. And in redistricting, we had this brand new redistricting commission. And at the end of redistricting, one of the things that happened was Democrats were mad and Republicans were mad. And when that happened, I said, you know what? They must have actually done a good job, because that's if neither one of those parties was happy thinking that they were going to get everything that they wanted, to me, that they did actually attempt to bring some balance back. But the question is the Republican Party taking advantage of that? Are they even aware that all of these swing districts now exist? Because many districts completely shifted. I know, for example, up where I live, I'm in northern Colorado, we have a district just south of me, HD 19, and that district is now a literal toss-up district. I'm talking like it leans 1% Republican now, right? In 2022, a Democrat won that seat. Were they even paying attention to the fact that that seat, which previously was hard red, was now a toss-up district? Because Democrats were. Democrats hold every one of those 16 swing seats in the House. Every one of them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Every single one of them. And so let me give people an idea of what our legislature makeup looks like. In the state House, there are 65 state House representatives. 19 of those are held by Republicans, and 46 are held by Democrats. 46 Democrats to 19 Republicans in our state house. If we were to flip all 16 of those swing districts into Republican hands, Republicans would actually gain control of the House. They would gain control of the House if we flipped all 16. If we even flipped 12, Republicans would then have gridlock. They would actually have the ability to get some of this radical legislation that is taking place that even Democrats aren't okay with. They would be able to actually get this stuff stopped and have some good balanced legislation that actually moves out of there.
I'm talking to Lesley Hollywood with Balancing the Rockies. Now, to your point, Lesley, what we have found, because I used to run a lobbying operation down at the state capitol to represent social conservative Christian values. And what we found was that there was just no consequences for being a radical leftist. You could do whatever you wanted. You could vote. You could introduce whatever you wanted down there. You could take away gun rights and you wouldn't lose an election. I mean, it was kind of crazy. And so I appreciate what you guys are trying to do is actually like bring consequences to really bad lawmaking, which they just don't have right now. So Ava Flanell, also with Balancing the Rockies. Ava, talk to us about how you hope to achieve this.
Well, so Lesley and I, we looked at these districts and how Democrats are approaching campaigns. And we realized that Republicans, when it comes to campaigning, unfortunately, they're like years behind the Democrats. And they're not doing a lot of,
I don't think they're doing anything. We talked about it during the 6 o'clock hour. I don't think they're even doing any voter registration operations right now.
Well, look at, what is it, HD 61. We don't even have a Republican in that district right now because the GOP is asleep. And that is such a close district.
This is a swing district. They don't even have a Republican?
This is a swing district. Eliza Hamrick, it's actually down in this area. It's part Douglas County, part Arapahoe County. This district, in redistricting, the swing in this district now is literally 2.5%. 2.5%. I mean, that is
You said 61 or 64?
61.
61.
And that being a 2.5% district, this is a toss-up district. There is not a Republican running in this seat. Why?
However, when Parenti dropped out, the Democrats were very quick to fill her seat. So it's like, what are Republicans doing right now?
Dude, this is like E470 and Parker Road. This is not downtown Denver.
No. This is a completely winnable seat if we had a candidate. And so one of the things that I think is really
Bill, do you live in this district?
You can't run me. There's no way.
We could absolutely run you. Billy in his tank. No. Sorry, Lesley.
There's no way. There's no way.
Well, and with HD 61, for example, typically what happens is what happened in this was there was no recruitment of candidates. We all know what the state GOP was doing during the primaries prior to that. There was no recruitment of candidates even at the state level, which we really should have been recruiting somebody good down here, right? So at the very last day, they got somebody to put their name on the ballot. That person, before the nomination deadline, this was back, I believe, in April or May. So this person did put their name up for nomination the very last day, but they did not turn in any of their paperwork, which disqualified them. So what happens next? And this is super important, and nobody knows this. Everyone I tell this to, nobody knows. So what should happen next is there should be an HD 61 vacancy committee put together, and that vacancy committee would then immediately find a replacement for that candidate.
Yeah.
This has been months, has not happened. Turns out there isn't an HD 61 vacancy committee.
But where's Rose Puglisi on this?
Well, we really briefly talked to Rose, and she's at least aware.
I mean,
but she's also the leader of the Republican Party.
Well,
you need to be a little bit more than aware.
I think it also falls in the hands of like Dave Williams, who has his own issues right now.
It does. And the reason it does is because when there is not a HD 61 vacancy committee, it's then the state party's role to fill that vacancy. And they have not done it. And like Ava brought up HD 19, which is up in my neck of the woods, that's Weld County. That was Dan Woog and Jennifer Parenti.
Yeah, Dan's a good guy.
And he is. Yeah. That was a seat that the Democrats won in 2022. It's a 100% toss-up now. So Jennifer Parenti actually dropped out of that race. And this was probably 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3
weeks ago, maybe. She dropped out of that. literally immediately, that vacancy committee, the Democrat vacancy committee for HD 19, got together, found a replacement, and they have a replacement already.
Mm-hmm.
That fast is how fast Democrats are doing it. Here we have this opportunity in HD 61, and we don't even have a candidate to work with.
Yeah,
that's frustrating for people like us.
Help me understand what balancing the Rockies is going to do. So are y'all just raising awareness, or are you actually like or organizing to win these seats, or fundraising, or give me a sense?
Right now, we are taking on donors, we're fundraising, and we want to campaign in these districts. And we have quite the plan up our sleeve. I mean, I don't know, Lesley, should we share some of our plan?
We certainly could.
Kyle Clark's listening. We learned that earlier today.
That's fine.
I was like, all right, there we go.
Hi, Kyle.
Yeah.
I don't. Kyle's fine.
You'd actually be surprised who we're friendly with.
Yeah, like
because I think you get more done when you're friends with people as opposed to being enemies.
We don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. We're
That's
too
my
busy
job.
trying to flip
trying to change Colorado.
So one of the opportunities that we have this year in 2024 in particular is, as I mentioned, Democrats hold every one of these 16 state house seats.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them. And all but 2, well, now 3 that Parenti dropped out, all but 2, or now all but 3 are actually incumbents with radical voting records. We have never had an opportunity like this in Colorado, where we have incumbents that we can use their radical progressive voting records that are harming people in an effort to actually flip these seats. We don't usually have that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
We do right now. So that's one of the things that we really want to do, is we want to make sure that people understand, the voters are going to understand what these incumbents are doing with their votes.
Exactly.
So are we having to create organizations like Balancing the Rockies because the state party's so inept? I feel like you guys should be doing the job of the state party.
I know. I mean, we wear many
you
hats.
Want to do
but
this, Ava?
I know.
I'll be chair. You can be vice chair.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, those might be open here soon. But I mean, so you're recruiting candidates, you're raising money, you're looking to unleash volunteers to maybe go door knock, that type of stuff. Is that what y'all are trying to do?
I don't think we're going to do too much door knocking.
Yeah.
We are essentially, we're going to do a lot of website stuff, a lot more digital media stuff that people are paying attention to. Yeah, exactly. And
you have a track record being successful. So I want to talk about how you all stopped some of the gun bills that took place at the state legislature.
Okay. So for example, so Lesley's kind of the brains of the operation when it comes to politics. I've only been politically active in the last year and a half. Before that, I still am very heavily involved in the gun industry. I've been a firearms instructor for 12 years. I have a podcast for 7 years, and I'm sponsored.
And the name of it?
Gun Funny.
Gun Funny.
And then I'm sponsored by some of the biggest companies in the industry, Sig Sauer, Federal Ammo, stuff like that. And I just finally had enough, when they came to us with the assault weapons ban bill 2 years in a row. I was just like, enough is enough. And I got very active, made sure that I went up, testified for almost every bill, especially this past legislative session when they came to us with 10 anti-gun bills. And so it was tough because there's a lot of YouTubers that I'm friends with, like Mr. Guns and Gear, Washington Gun Law, something. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him. But they were all saying that, because the Democrats hold the supermajority, that the quote unquote assault weapons ban bill was going to pass and that there wasn't much we could do about it.
I think a lot of people thought that.
Absolutely. And
got through the House.
Yeah, it got way too close to comfort. Up until the last day was it killed. And I have that mindset where when it's done, I will do whatever I can in my power until we finally get to that point. So I was trying to rally up people. I went on my podcast. I had people emailing any of the House reps and senators that could potentially vote on this. I try to make as much noise as possible. I try to get specifically a lot more females to come up and testify because we were working against moms demand action. And sure enough, we were able to do a lot of damage. I mean, Lesley and we put out a ton of videos. We kept people updated. The problem is, when it comes to politics, myself included, it could be very confusing. And thankfully, I have Lesley to ask, questions. But most people don't even know how a bill is made, how they can go up to the Capitol and testify. I mean, just the sign up alone for that is very confusing. And so we were putting out these YouTube videos where we were, telling people like, okay, so now that it passed the House, what's next? Because people think that the minute it's voted on, the first, like within committee, that's it. And it's become, going to become a bill, or a law. And so, yeah, Lesley and I were very active, and I try to stay humble through all this, but I think that we definitely made a difference.
No, you did. I think you were key in helping to stop that. Everybody expected it to pass, but then it stopped in the Senate. I'm trying to remember why.
We were the only ones. I will say that Ava and I were the only ones that we kept saying. Everybody was just like, no, this bill's going to pass. It's going to pass. And Ava and I mean, we like until the bitter end, we were like, no, we don't believe this is what's happening. We went down to the Capitol. We met with State Senator James Coleman, who's a hardcore Democrat, a yes on the bill, but he was going to be, he was actually going to be chairing the committee that it was going to be heard in the Senate. And we just went down and went into his office and we're like, hey man, let's have a conversation about this bill and what your committee's doing.
I met with a few Democrats. I was like willing to just do whatever. I'm like, hey, if you guys have questions about guns, I would consider myself fairly expertise. And I was trying to explain why this bill was so damaging. I even got some Democrats to vote against the bill.
And Democrats that don't sit in swing districts. We're talking Democrats in solid blue districts who through the time and efforts that we took. And it turned out actually that
one of them said that the reason why she voted no against these bills, later, a few weeks later, we met. She came down to the Springs and she's like, I want to thank you for that. So
that is great.
That meant a lot.
So, you're saying that some of the Democrats don't know what they're talking about with guns.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Just a little.
I know, believe it or not.
That's such a surprise.
Yeah.
And I appreciate they're willing to listen to you, because one of the funny things I always had to deal with going down there was they know who I was and what I represented. So they would play all these games to make me go at the very end at like 4 a.m.
I think it's also how you approach it. I think that, if you're willing to be just a nice person about it, like, I think that the problem is like some of these organizations are just so extreme and they end up doing more bad than good. Whereas like Lesley and I, like, obviously the last thing we want is another shooting, but these laws are not going to prevent that.
So we're talking with Lesley and Ava with Balancing the Rockies, and they've put together, this is an IEC, an Independent Expenditure Committee, to help support Republicans in these key swing districts. If you have a question for them, give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. I want to talk to you about my good friend Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. Dan is pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Look, you don't just want one of those ambulance chasing personal trial attorneys. No, you want somebody that's down to earth, good with the values, and wins in the courtroom. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer. He's also a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. But more than just being down to earth, a guy that shares our values, he's a winner in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. He's so trusted and so respected that Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases, but not just reserved for the rich and wealthy. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call at 303-770-5551 or hit dancaplis.law.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. When we return, we'll continue our conversation with Lesley and Ava of Balancing the Rockies, trying to flip these swing districts from Democrat control to Republican. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
That's a Disney reference?
No,
Is
but
that-
yeah,
oh,
no,
I
no.
thought you said Disney reference.
Yeah, it was Disney. We're
Let's just
Disney
leave
joke.
Disney out of it.
I was completing the circle
Billy needs
earlier.
to put on his hat.
I should. I got my hat.
He's got his little Mickey ears. See, there you go. That's because
Look at
we
my
just
hat.
got back from Disneyland last week
Oh,
with the
nice.
kids.
Yep.
So he's got his own Billy ears.
It's fantastic. Yeah, mine was destroyed when I was little, and so now I've got it.
So
Okay,
we have live in studio, Balancing the Rockies is run by Lesley and Ava, Lesley Hollywood and Ava Flanell. And they are activists that come primarily, from what I understand, out of the kind of gun rights, Second Amendment rights community. And they're looking around going, hey, is anyone going to help the Republicans here? We have some races. Hello? Is the Republican Party going to show up?
Is this microphone on?
Right. And they aren't, because who knows what's going on there. I guess there's another vote coming up in a week or two as to whether or not Dave Williams is going to remain chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. So these two ladies, these go-getters, are out there making a difference themselves, which is awesome. So it's an IEC. Explain to people, maybe Lesley or Ava, what an IEC is and what you can do and cannot do.
Lesley, you want to take this one?
Sure, I'll take it. So an IEC is an independent expenditure committee, and we are allowed to raise unlimited amounts of funds from individuals, from businesses, from corporations, nonprofits, and even other IECs can donate money to us.
Unlimited funds.
Unlimited amounts of funds. Somebody could give us $5 million today, and we could just take it and we could do great things with it. They could give us $5 today, and we can take it and do great things with it. Doesn't really matter who it comes from. It does all go through the Secretary of State. So there's campaign finance reports that have to be filed and all of that. So we're, of course, doing all of that important work as well. But an IEC, people also call them super PACs. So people are familiar with political action committees. Super PACs are very similar to IECs. IECs are used more on a state level. And what we can do with the money is we can campaign for or against candidates related to our purpose. So our purpose is to bring balance back to the state legislature. We don't want it to be crazy too many Republicans, as if we would ever have that problem in Colorado. We definitely don't want it to be crazy too many Democrats, which is the problem we currently have in Colorado. So we're trying to bring balance back. So that's our purpose of our IEC. So we can actually spend this money to achieve that purpose by supporting or opposing candidates. One of the things, because I just mentioned earlier, of these 16 swing districts that we have identified in the House, these are all held by Democrats, and 13 of them are held by incumbents. These are people with radical voting records. This last legislative session was the most radical legislation I have ever seen in Colorado, and these people voted for it. So what we want to do is we want to actually use our IEC, use the funds that we're bringing in to expose those voting records to the voters so that they understand it's not just about voting for Republican. It's going to be about voting against bad policy.
Yeah.
What I love about this, I'm looking at Reddit, who wrote about you all. Somebody posted about Reddit and just said, I'm tired of being on the defense.
Yes, exactly. That was exactly why we started this, because I was like, you know what, if we could just get a few more Republicans, you know, in either the House or the Senate, we wouldn't have to be playing defense the entire time.
That is awesome. I'm so glad you all are doing this. So if people want to be involved, they go to balancingtherockies.com.
Correct.
And they can download or sign up and donate there.
Yes.
That was the D word I was looking for. Not download, donate. Let's go to the phone lines. Joe Arvada, you're on the Jeff and Bill show along with Lesley and Ava from Balancing the Rockies. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Ava and Lesley. I applaud your activism. I have said this many times, Denver and Colorado are a dumpster fire, and it will take a lot more burning down before people come to awareness that we're in a fight. It is Marxism versus a free society. You can call it communism if you want, because that's where we're headed. And the fight, I would label that the fight that we need to take up is very similar to what Donald Trump said. Fight, fight, fight. That's what we have to do to save Colorado from becoming a Marxist I won't use the word, but hole. Let's just put it that way. The roots, underpinnings of it come from communism.
No,
and they are
Joe, I got a question for you, though. So I applaud these ladies because I think they have the political astuteness to know, like in this state, nearly 50% of all registered voters are independents. So while, Joe, I'm with you on fight, that appeals to the 23% of Republicans that are left in this state. Their message is about balancing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important?
I hear you.
Why is it important? I want to ask the ladies this. Why is it important to appeal to the moderates and independents, particularly in these swing districts?
Well, I mean,
no, a question to Ava and Lesley on that, and the importance of appealing to moderates and independents.
I think because essentially, like most of America sits very much in the middle. I think it's like 10% on each side is like either far right or far left, whereas most of us are in the middle. And I don't think that Colorado is being represented fairly by having, Democrats as the supermajority. Yeah. So I think even Democrats should want this, because otherwise it's just going to be extremely liberal. And then that's when a lot of these really outrageous policies are getting put into place.
And I want to ask you about kind of how Colorado has changed a little bit. Now, you grew up here, Ava.
Mm-hmm.
Lesley, you remember those fights when, what was it, 2013? Mm-hmm. Was that when you guys recalled the lawmakers for even thinking about introducing gun restriction bills? Now we're at a point where they can get it through the House, and we almost get it through the Senate. Colorado, traditionally a Western state with, great kind of libertarian values. Mm-hmm. How did we get to a place where the left is so progressive and is even bold enough to push these gun bills?
So I think Colorado is much more purple than we want to give it credit for. One of the problems, again, is that we have a Republican Party in Colorado who a lot of people, myself included in the past, have said they're the ones who are going to do the work. They're going to be flipping these seats. They are paying attention. They know what the swing seats are. They're recruiting candidates. You make these assumptions that people are doing the work for you.
I think that's exactly right.
They are not doing the work. The Democrats are doing the work, though. It's like we have a marathon, for 2 years between elections, and we've got Democrats out there training at the gym every day and climbing mountains and getting ready, and they're prepared when that marathon comes. And what is the Republican Party doing? They're eating pizza and drinking Coke on the couch watching soap operas, right? And then the marathon comes,
living a soap opera.
And then the marathon comes, and they're like, "Why did we lose?" Well, you weren't training. So this is what's been happening for years. I believe Colorado is much more purple than we give it credit for. Mm-hmm. When you look at these 16 swing districts that we talk about, I want to point to one of them in particular, which is HD 50. So a House district is very, very small. HD 50 is literally the town of Greeley, right? And HD 50, the Democrat won that seat in 2022 by 330 votes. 330 votes.
That's a sneeze.
That's a sneeze when you look at a district as small as Greeley. So part of the problem is that we have these huge efforts. We look at statewide races, Senate, governor, recalling Governor Polis. We put all of this time and effort into these statewide things. And that's where, like what your caller mentions, this communism and the Marxism in the state, we have a hard time beating that on a state level. But would we have a hard time beating that in Greeley? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. I live about 20 minutes from Greeley. Greeley is very conservative in general. It's very, when it comes to probably their policies that they support, they're actually really moderate. When we're looking at that seat being lost by 330 votes, we want to take a scalpel to that district. We want to identify who those voters are. We want to identify what makes them tick. Mary Young, who is the Democrat incumbent in that district, Mary Young sat on the committee that voted the drug injection sites forward. Does anyone in her district know that she voted to put drug injection sites in the town of Greeley? Does anyone in that district actually know that? No. Wow. Why? Because nobody is telling them, and that's what we are going to do.
Joe, exactly. I appreciate the call. We're just out of time. Billy, this is what I was talking about earlier, where we were saying, that the Republican Party is like a failed sports team.
Yeah.
That and when you start to lose, you start to blame everybody, right?
Mhm.
It's the water boys' fault. That's why we're losing. And you need a coach that's going to come back in and get the fundamentals right and start to win a little bit by a little bit by a little bit to build trust, to build momentum, and to get Republicans back in the game, because jumping all the time to these big statewide races and losing with these demographics has been disheartening. I love the fact that you guys are doing this. BalancingTheRockies.com is the website where you can go and get involved with the work that they're doing. Look, everybody always asks, what makes advanced hair restoration different? Allow me to share with you, along with some details, and get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and the before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. Lastly, Advanced Hair's Advance FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It's quick, it's simple, and it's easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, it's here. Advanced Hair's summer savings event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, call 720-459-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results, your new hair guaranteed to grow. Before and afters at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. 720-459-HAIR. We'll continue with Balancing the Rockies. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Wrapping up with Lesley and Ava balancing the Rockies. I really appreciate you all are taking this initiative and getting out there. You've identified these core districts. You're going out there to help restore balance to the state of Colorado. You're not coordinating with any of the candidates.
No.
You're abiding by all the rules. But Ava, real quick, you're doing a gun shoot here.
Yeah, so I'm doing a huge range event. It's called Front Range Freedom Shoot, taking place at Dragon Man's in Colorado Springs, September 7th and 8th. And I also invited a ton of politicians and candidates to come out and do a meet and greet from 1 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. I want people to get excited about voting. I want them to meet who they're voting for. And then also we're going to have some, like Lesley will be there. We're going to be set up where we can register people to.
How can they
vote.
get more information about that?
Just go to dragonmans.com/store.
Dragonmans.com.com/store
and just search for Front Range Freedom Shoot. And we're going to have over 50 vendors, on range, off range. You can shoot whatever you want. Machine gun rentals, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be so much fun.
They got a machine gun rental.
You
Billy
have my
in a tank.
attention. You have my attention.
All right. I sure appreciate you all joining us in studio. If you missed any part of the show, go to 710knus.com. You can download the podcast there, including that fiery interview with Danielle Jurinsky. It was a wild one. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Have a good day.